Good evening, America. Welcome back to another episode of Break the Machine podcast. Tonight, we have a special guest, Frankie Rodriguez, who's hanging with us tonight. It is another Web Off Friday. She's an independent analyst. She's very good at what she does. She stumped last year for the Trump campaign to help him get elected. So we're going to get into some of that tonight. She had a really in-depth article in regards to the tariffs and how they work, including what Trump did the last time. So we're going to get into that a little bit as well. But you're going to get to know who she is. She's very, very intelligent. She's good at what she does, and she's spending Friday night with us tonight, fam. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring Reddaywalker in with Frankie Rodriguez so that she can go ahead and introduce herself. Frankie, how's it going? Thank you for coming on tonight. We appreciate you taking a Friday night to hang with us.
Of course, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited. Anything for you guys.
Well, we're gonna get into it really quick, and you might get some questions in the comments. Our chat is very, very, very
Oh,
active
for
there.
sure.
You'll see them. You can see the comments on your end anyway. You will see that they're constantly going back and forth with each other, and then they'll ask questions. And we'll obviously pull the questions up. So, um, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then also what you did last year for the Trump campaign, because you're on social. You actually got a pretty big presence on social media, but you disappeared, and everybody was wondering what happened. So we'll get to know a little bit of where Frankie Rodriguez went. Where in the world was Frankie Rodriguez
Yeah.
last year?
So my name is Frankie. I actually had a huge help, kind of joining Lexit when I first started. I had jumped into politics. I didn't know anything about it, but there was a lot that was not being said, a lot that was being censored, and I felt like if I didn't start speaking out, no one else would. And I just kept feeling that push, and I jumped in, and all of a sudden, all of these opportunities began to happen. And so I joined Lexit, which is the Latino exit from the Democrat Party. I ended up very quickly ended up getting flown around the country to speak to a lot of different communities. I went to a lot of events, really helping a lot with the Hispanic community and why they needed to be involved and understand why politics and policies, especially local politics, are so critical to the community. So that was really my main start. I have a background in marketing. I do a lot of marketing and social media and fun stuff on in the back end, and just was heavily pulled into this after the 2020 election. So moving forward, last year I ended up taking a very serious hiatus from social media, and I was very sad because I felt like I wasn't getting a lot of content out that I felt was very important for everyone to know. But I was doing a lot behind the scenes. I was working with Lexit. I was working with a lot of other very important names, a lot of lawyers in the back end, with doctors, a lot of different communities. I was going to events to speak. I was on podcasts. Um, my goodness, I was helping different campaigns. I was going to smaller, intimate events where it was, speaking to Hispanic communities, talking to business owners, letting them know this is what's going on at the border. This is what's happening in this area. This is what's going on, in the Northeast. So every single region of the US had something different that was so critical in this election. And it was important that every state and every local community understood what was happening specifically for them, so they could see why it was so important for them to be involved and to actually partake, not just voting on election day, but actually participating in it, going out, talking, asking questions, wondering, get making sure that congressmen were being held accountable, helping count the vote. There's a lot of things in the back end that are involved in election that a lot of people think, oh, well, someone else will take care of it. And if we
Right.
don't take that opportunity to handle it ourselves, we can't trust the
Mhm.
system will do it. We have to
Correct.
be involved. So that's where I was last year. I was handling business in the back end and trying to sleep 3 hours a night and just doing everything I could. It was very stressful. But
I can
the
imagine.
Wow.
moment November 6th came, my goodness, it was the first day I had the opportunity to sleep. I
Mhm.
remember that morning like it was yesterday. It was very exciting, and I had a nice big steak breakfast that day. Yeah, it was worth the year of chaos and stress.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we actually had like a 6-hour run on election night. Uh, And like at the six
Mhm.
hour mark, we just like we shut it down. They hadn't called it yet, but Scott had went away because he was tired. And then
It happens.
I tapped. I
there
did.
was
I
just
tapped
he
out.
tapped out. It was a long. It was an
It was
actual
like
long show.
was it like 2 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock or
Yeah,
something like that?
we actually started at 7 because that's when some of the stuff was starting to come in at 7.
Mhm.
So like so we started around 7 and we went
Mhm.
all the way to like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was a long night. uh but we didn't hear that until like 2, it was like 2:30 in the morning. There were
Mhm.
like three of us still up, but we weren't broadcasting. We were just in the studio talking, and each of us were watching. And it was very
I
surreal. The next day it was like, wow, it happened, like it actually happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of us were
Still
nervous
shocked.
to fall asleep after, what
Mhm.
happened in 2020.
Yeah, it was tough. Yeah,
I
especially
was
in
I
20.
was screenshotting the count every couple minutes.
Yeah, especially
I'm
like you
sure
said,
everybody
especially
was.
after what happened in 2020, you couldn't just sit back and not pay attention to what was going on. And because
Mhm.
we did, yes, Jonathan's my moderator. He was there with us the whole night. He hung with us. He hung
Mhm.
with me to 1 o'clock in the morning. And we just couldn't. You can't stand by. Did they approach you? Did Lexit approach you first? You said this was about a year ago.
This was, December of 2020.
Oh, okay.
And
So this
they
is
they
like
had
4 years
approached
ago.
me. Yes, so the president and a couple of the guys on the board, I'm sure, I mean, if you know legs at A-Rod, shout out to A-Rod.
Mhm.
They came up to me, and honestly, I thought they were just asking me to follow their group. I hadn't heard of them. I was coming in as this brand new person into politics. I was also, for the record, ashamed to admit I used to be a Democrat, which is also why I knew nothing about politics.
Right.
Um, but but then I started asking questions, and the whole world opened up. So they approached me, and I think I had maybe a few episodes at the time. I was discussing, Fauci emails and all kinds of different things, and they
Gotcha.
said they really liked my content and wanted me to be a part of their team. So I became one of their. I think at the time they had maybe 11 or 12 on the team,
Mhm.
and, so they asked me to join, and I was, because I worked from home, I
Mhm.
was the one that had the opportunity to travel and go to all the events, and
Right.
ended up getting to speak all over the country.
And you're still rolling with them now?
Oh, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. Like,
Excellent.
Dana White,
Cool.
diehard, will always be loyal.
That's cool. No, no, that's good stuff. Well, I never had to walk away because my family was never on that plantation. We do have some pendejos and pendejas in our family, unfortunately, but we still love them. It is what it is. So what was your actual walk? Just curious, what was your walk away moment where you were like, what the fuck is going on?
It's really interesting. I have this question, asked a lot, and I think the first things that were planting the seeds, I will say, I remember 9/11. I was in school. I remember that, and I remember asking questions, and everyone looked at me
Mhm.
as if I was crazy. That was number one. I living in Las Vegas, watching those towers come down, I just kept seeing and thinking, "That looks exactly like a hotel being demolished. You cannot tell me otherwise."
Yeah.
And I couldn't shake it. I kept looking things up, and then things would disappear. Everyone thought I was crazy. Then fast forward to 2016. Obviously, I was working at this time. I was already paying taxes. Obamacare was completely screwing me over, and I wanted something different. So I decided, if I'm going to vote in 2016, I really want my vote to count. I want it to mean something. I want to pay attention, and I want to know that my vote is choosing the right decision. And so I went on deep dives. I was trying to learn as much as I could how the system worked. Both parties, I was coming in completely from a blank slate. I didn't know much about Hillary Clinton. I knew of Donald Trump. Obviously, I'd read his books. I loved his show. So I learned a lot from him from the business side. And so I did like that. I gravitated towards that. But I wanted to make sure that I was giving both a an even amount of time for me to really sit down and look at their platform.
Which is the right thing to do.
Yes, yes. And so when I started asking questions at my job at the time, I didn't know of this divide. I had no idea. I thought it was just, hey, you determine which policies you feel are most important to you and you vote, and that's it. And immediately was just 100% excommunicated from everybody at my job. Nobody would
Oh
talk to
yeah.
me. I was immediately racist. Mind you, half of them were Hispanic, by the way. I was immediately racist. I was a traitor to women because I wasn't immediately voting for Hillary. I was uneducated, and it was shocking to me that not a single one of them was able to tell me a single policy that they were backing for Hillary, and they couldn't name a single policy for Trump that they didn't like. Everything was a personal attack, and everything was, "Why aren't you voting for her? She's a woman." And
They
I
still
just
can't.
thought they still can't, they still can't.
Yeah.
And the deeper it went into that election season, the more I realized this is a cult. This is mass brainwashing. Like, this is not how you make decisions. This is a very, very important decision that we need to make. Like, this is a privilege. And people are looking at this like they're just picking their best friend for the weekend. I'm like, I don't care what you do on the side. I'm not voting for you to hang out with you and have a beer. I need you
Right.
to choose the best policies because I am currently building a business while I'm at work, and I need someone who's smart to make that easier for me, not someone who's concerned about filling their own pockets.
Right.
And it was so wild to me how easy it was for people to just drop friends instead of having adult discussion.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
So
think
that
about it. The
that was
the
that was it.
the media press, right? Like, the Marxist state media, okay, big tech, government, everybody's all colluding with each other, all right? And they're telling you to hate this man, right? And every time he says something, they'll play a snippet of what he said and leave out like the rest of it so you get no context, okay? And then they
Mhm.
tell you he's a racist because of A, B, and C. But what they don't tell you is that he was saying X, Y, and Z in that same comment, that same, speech and whatnot. And Hillary Clinton was the anointed one. Okay,
Mhm.
she was supposed to be the one that moved on after Obama. So like when he came out and he got through he got through all the Republicans, and then he ended up being the nominee on the Republican side. Okay, he became public enemy number one to the Democrats. Meanwhile, all of these people were his best friends. Okay, many of them went to his parties. Many of them he donated. Back in the day. Uh, you know, everybody rapped about him. All these rappers, they all wanted to be Trump and whatnot and stuff like that in their music. And all of a sudden, like I said, he became public enemy number one because
Mhm.
Hillary Clinton was the anointed one in their party. It was her turn, even though she didn't do shit. Okay,
Yeah.
other than get people killed as the Secretary of State, continue to line her pockets and robbing Haiti and everywhere else and everything like that, where her Clinton Foundation was she was siphoning money from.
Mhm.
But she was the anointed one, and since that didn't happen, they were just like, we can't have, Donald Trump. So, when Donald Trump got elected in 2016, if you remember, we actually had control for the first 2 years, right? So we
Mhm.
were we were able to actually get things done. The Republicans were, um, and then all of a sudden, the minute he fired Comey, the deep state closed ranks, and that was it from that point on. The rest of his first term was just a nightmare with them pushing back and doing everything they could with the impeachments and all that other bullshit that went on once they took control in
Mhm.
what was it 2018. So
It was wild. I remember before he even stepped into office, they were already calling for impeachment,
impeachment,
which again is crazy. You can't impeach
it's
someone
nuts,
from a
right?
job they haven't even started, right?
It's nuts.
And you find out all of these things, the truth always comes to light, and then you realize, especially with all of the coincidental pardons that we've seen from the last
Recently.
administration,
Yeah.
um, how they all lined up, and you see that all of these things with Burisma in Ukraine and his son Hunter all lined up during that time, and that was the investigation that he was talking about that they were trying to suppress, which
Yeah, that goes back to
of course, again, yeah,
2015. Yeah.
comes back to find out that it was all true, and
Yep.
that was one of the reasons why they were pushing for impeachment
Yep.
before he even stepped in office.
Yeah, it was one of the things that they hit him with, and it was just a matter. And we got Biden on literally on tape, okay, and on
Mhm.
video talking about how he went to Ukraine and told the Ukrainian government and the president at the time, because it wasn't Zelensky at the time yet,
No.
okay, that if you don't do this, you're not going to get your billions of dollars that we have like set to the side for you that we're about to give you. and he told them we're going to
Mhm.
hold your money, right? And
Mhm.
once they got the pressure from from Biden, that was it. They were just like, yeah, we're
Mhm.
not going to do that, because the what do you call it? Their attorney general for Ukraine was actually investigating Burisma and Hunter Biden and everybody else that was tied to that. So
Yeah.
we know how that went, how that ended up going, right? And then
Yeah.
again, like I said earlier, the Marxist state media, big tech, and the government colluded together to silence the story. Anytime anybody put anything up about the Hunter's laptop or anything like that, his shit got taken down immediately. You got called a liar. 51 fucking so-called spooks came out and were like, yeah, there was nothing on that. It was nothing. It was a nothing burger. Russia, Russia, Russia. Right? That was
Yeah.
the whole thing. Uh, and then we ended up getting what we got. Unfortunately, people listened to that, and in 2020, it was still stolen, but in 2020, people came out and forced to vote for. There was still a significant amount of people who believed the lie, okay, and voted for Biden. Unfortunately, you know, so because
Which
those
is wild. They had done a survey asking Biden voters if they had known about the Hunter Biden story, if they would have still voted the same. And I think the number was 13%
was
that would have changed
significant.
their vote or would have not
Hmm.
voted at all.
Yeah,
And
So ridiculous.
which is more than enough to have changed the outcome of that election. So
yeah.
that goes to show you the importance of information and why they are so desperate to control the narrative.
Yeah. We tell our viewers all the time on the show about how important it is to stay involved and to, especially locally, like you mentioned earlier on about, doing things locally. Scott and I mean, we our viewers could tell you, we beat them in the head over the head with it all the time. Local, local, local. Pay
Yeah.
attention. Your ballots in every state, your ballots come out early in the year, right? When things are finalized, it's almost immediately your ballots came out. If you don't know who's on that ballot, get it, download it, find out who's on there so you know exactly who you're voting for. Because, like,
Mhm.
for instance, a state like New York, where I came from, okay, if you, a lot of Democrats would run as Republicans. Okay, so like they had
Mhm.
nobody running with them on the Democratic side. So it wasn't just uncontested and it was a Democrat and you had nobody listed as Republican, right? So you had no choice and you just couldn't vote. It would be like they would vote as Republicans and there were people who would just go click, 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 click down the line, all right, and they're hitting for a Republican because it's allowed in the state. In a state like New York, pretty sure there are other states that can do it as well, where you can run on more than one party. So it's like that happens a lot, and that's how they end up, that's the legal way
Yeah.
they end up getting in and stuff like that. So it's very important to pay attention. But the good thing now is that, say what you want about Elon Musk having Twitter open up, the fact that we're TikTok, even though they censor, they still censor the shit out of everybody on TikTok. If that gets brought up, that might get opened up. If they continue to lose their places where their mouth was really really wide and now they don't have it anymore and now we're pushing back, it just helps us. So Scott actually posted something on that had me laughing, like earlier in the week, about TikTok. uh on his essentially, if they lose
They
another
might lose
mouthpiece
it.
where they censor people, yeah, they're gonna lose it. People are gonna be jumping
They
off of
might.
roofs and shit like that.
Well, I'll say it this way. Earlier in the week, I would have said it looks like they were gonna, but now Trump just freaking delayed the decision now another
Extended it for
75
75
days.
days. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. um
Which
yeah,
what are your thoughts on that, by the way? If there is a deal where the US is part owner,
a
which was
US
discussed
company,
before.
where the Chinese are completely divested, which, would they really be completely divested then when we think about it? um my thing was this, right? So when TikTok came out, I know it was a big deal, right? Everybody wanted to ban it because, and they were right, right? In the beginning, they were absolutely 100% correct about Chinese are getting, there's another way that Chinese are getting our data, because they're getting our data through everywhere else too, right? Because they're
Mhm.
good at
Mhm.
what they do.
Oh,
All
for
right.
sure.
So in the beginning, when there was an opportunity to shut it down, we didn't do it, right? So then what happened? It morphed into something where there were actually people, like small businesses, that were using TikTok to run their businesses and stuff like that, and to do ads for themselves and everything, and it became a thing, right? So like the argument of, well, the Chinese are getting our stuff and everything like that. That went away because it was like, well, you guys didn't freaking do anything in the beginning of this when it happened. Now we're years gone from it, okay, from the start of TikTok, and now you're complaining about it. And this was under the Biden administration. Okay, you guys are making a big deal about it now, which made no sense to me because like TikTok censors everybody conservative. If you have a conservative voice on TikTok, you get shut down almost immediately. I know a lot of people like we have a one of our regulars, conserve reality. He's always talking about Clapper. Okay, he's like, we should use Clapper and stuff like that because TikTok it's just a censor mill.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's going to come of that. I think that if a good solid American company picks it up, okay, an investor, we might be able to get something positive out of it, right? If it means that the censorship goes away and it's another outlet for conservative voices now to actually come out other than X, because we all know that Instagram's full of shit. They still censor everybody.
Mhm.
I,
Oh,
I got videos
100%.
from last year, okay, that are still in timeout and I can't monetize on.
Yeah.
So I don't even bother. It's just like, why would I even try to bother to monetize on Instagram? Because I'm not. Every time I
Mhm.
post a video or something, they're just gonna freaking put it in timeout anyway.
And
So it
it's
doesn't
so easy
matter.
to see. It's so easy to see on the back end with
It
analytics.
is.
I know
It is.
there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, maybe your content sucks." Listen, there will be
Well,
days that my
Yeah.
content will
Of
suck,
course.
but
Of
you can
course.
see your reach and you can see that it drops substantially. It's
Or,
it's
or,
obvious.
or
Yeah.
what they do
we
is
just
they're
want
very
access to the
sneaky.
algorithm. That's what we want.
Yes. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to know what the algorithm is.
It's true. Or they're very sneaky about it, right? So they'll go like you'll look at something and you'll see that it has like 10,000 views, but you have 20 something likes. How does that
Mhm.
even make sense? That makes
Mhm.
no sense whatsoever. You have 10,000 views, 20 something likes, and you have 1,000 comments on it. So like it makes
Exactly.
no sense. So like, and then when you
Yeah.
do the analytics, you see that they do one of two things, right? So it's supposed to be that if your stuff gets out to non-followers, that means the algorithm is throwing you out there. But that's not really how it works, because when you look at it, like when you're posting something political, let's say, all right, you want your followers to see it. If you got 20,000 followers, you want your followers to see it, right? It's something specifically for your followers, all right?
Mhm.
Other people are going to see it because it gets caught up in the algorithm, but that doesn't happen. And you'll see like 98% non-followers and 2% of your followers, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, now I see why I only got 20 something likes, because like 2% of my followers, it got to. It's just insane. The
I've I've
algorithms,
I've had a lot of followers as well, and it happens multiple times where they'll notice they're not seeing my content, and it's people that have followed me for a while, so they know that I post consistently, and they've
Mhm.
messaged me, they've private messaged me and said, "Hey, Frankie, I had to follow you again. My account keeps unfollowing you, and I'm not seeing any of your
Mhm.
posts." And I have other people also that I follow. I don't know if you guys know who Andy Frisella is. Huge,
hmm
huge, huge mentor, super amazing. I've spoken to him. He's fantastic.
yeah,
And
I follow him.
so yeah, so he posts amazing content. And I have
Yeah.
even tried liking and sharing and commenting, and I'll hit like and it'll unlike it. And I'll
Yes, it won't
keep
block.
tapping it and
They
it won't
block
let
the
me
like.
share. Oh,
Correct.
absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
unbelievable the measures that they go
Yeah.
to try to suppress,
Yeah.
people's right to freedom of speech. And I think going back to the TikTok thing, I think that's what's so important, because there's so much in the aspect of it being China owned that is
Yeah.
so dangerous for us,
Yeah.
because
Very.
we're easily giving them access to all of this information. So it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's also this platform that should be for freedom of speech, right? Obviously, we know that so much censorship happens there, but it is another platform for freedom of speech. And, completely eliminating it when we have that platform, especially when businesses are using it for their monthly income,
Yeah.
it's such
Small
a it's
businesses in
such a
particular.
Yeah,
yes,
but
and
you know
it's
what?
such a
I
Go ahead,
was going
Scott.
to say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Frankie.
oh, I
There's
was just
only
going to I was just going to say
finish up.
it's such an aspect of freedom of speech, but it's going back to what's the root of the problem, right? You can't just remove something because you don't like it. You can't just remove something because of the ownership. So let's say if it does change and transfer ownership, I know that they have discussed doing I don't remember if it was 50-50, but if it was 50% private ownership and 50% US ownership, like the government
I
owning it,
I wouldn't want that
I
at
don't
all.
think that 100% absolutely no. It should be
Yeah,
100% private
private.
owned or but if it does also, let's say if someone does purchase TikTok, it needs to be completely, what's the word that I'm looking for? They need to be able to go in and restructure everything
Just
because
needs
it
to get
can't just
gutted.
change hands exactly. It can't just change hands over paperwork and just let it run freely the way that it has been because
Correct.
everyone is going to still have access. So there's a lot more of the little nitty-gritty details that are in that I don't think a lot of people have thought about,
Yeah,
that really need to be taken into consideration because this isn't just a simple, "We
Yeah,
need a different owner."
yeah, yeah. No, no, I don't want the
no, it's
government
not
anywhere
the.
near it.
But yeah, the thing is, there's no legit reason why the government should have any control over it. But even if it's just privately owned, they're still going to control it, because that's the point. It's not so much that they want to. It's not so. It's not even the fact that they want to like have partial ownership over it. I mean, look at what they do with YouTube, and look at what they
Yeah,
do with Instagram and Facebook, and look at what they did with Twitter that they lost their back doors into. When all the stuff with COVID was going down, and all the stuff and all the revolutions you see around the world, that they don't want you to see.
Mhm.
yeah,
On Instagram, Facebook, they shut that shit down pretty quick. If Iran is going through some bullshit, you know what? They don't let you see those videos. If there's a trucker convoy going across Canada, they'll shut that shit down. They don't want you seeing people
yeah,
getting rallied and riled up. But
yeah. Because they get
TikTok,
pressure. They get pressure from the
TikTok,
from the governments in like
Mhm.
Iran and the
yeah.
Canadian government, and they listen
But guess
instead of
what?
just saying "fuck you guys."
Yeah, you want to see some real on the ground shit going on between like Israel and Palestine? You're gonna find it on fucking TikTok.
Yeah,
You want to see some bullshit going on in Haiti, like people that are like starving or suffering from like things that the U.S. did to them. You're gonna see it on TikTok.
Mhm.
You're
But
gonna see,
again,
like when North Carolina when they had that fucking hurricane. Where
yeah.
was all the best footage? It was all coming out of TikTok. They
Mhm.
yeah,
weren't showing that on Instagram. So that's what they want. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. I don't trust them if they're all in unison saying like, yes, we need to ban the Chinese. No, no, no. There's an ulterior motive there.
And that goes back to the importance of understanding local government again,
Mhm.
because if you actually sit down and you take the time to vet the people that you're voting for, and it's not just the people that you're voting for, right? Because we can tie this into the whole no one voted for Elon. Damn right we voted for Elon. He was part of the package and we knew it. So
yeah.
when you know the candidate that you are voting for, regardless if it's a local election, state or president, you know that that person is lining up their team to do what they need to do. If you understand that person's values and you take a look at their history of what they've done before, if they've never been in office before, what have they done before, what projects were they a part of, you can see where their values line up, and you can
Correct.
see the people in their circle, who they spend time with, and who is in their mastermind group, right? So if you take that time to vet them, you can see who's actually here for America first and not just to line their pockets. So if you take that time and you can see, okay, well, this person is going to do this person is going to actually interpret the law the way that they should. This is why it's so important for you to vet the judges when you're voting, right? It's not just your state senator or the president. You have to look at
Oh,
judges.
we
Who's
talk
running
about
for
that
school
so
board?
much.
Yes, because and governor, you have to understand how much power is in local government right now. If
Oh yeah.
going back to the 2020 election, if we had judges who were honest, we
Yep.
wouldn't have had so many cases being thrown out on
Correct.
standing.
Correct.
The most ridiculous, ludicrous excuse for a coward judge to throw out a case and say there's no standing when there's mountains of evidence that need to be sifted through. And so when you have that power on a local level, you can protect yourself. It's
Right.
so important for you to understand. And it's those local elections that make a difference across the board.
Yeah. We
100%.
100%, Frankie. You're hitting that nail really, really hard, and it's perfect because we actually Scott and I are constantly talking about that, about local elections. And right, Scott, we talked a big time about judges
It's
and DAs. We were
it's
constantly.
pretty.
I mean, we've been saying that forever,
I didn't.
trying to get people to understand that.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
Scott.
don't. I was gonna say I didn't even know. Like I might have been awake, but for several years now, but I didn't even know judges were partisan. Like I didn't know judges had like political leanings.
And they
I
shouldn't.
And they shouldn't,
they
right?
shouldn't. And
Or
yet I was told, you know what, you need to look up, you need to do research because the judges are really good at hiding it
Hmm.
online.
yes,
It's not just going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, Judge Dinkin from this county, he served as the a prosecutor over here. He leans Republican." I'm not going to say that. You're going to have to go
yeah,
dig and find out. Oh yeah, he attended some fundraiser,
Hmm.
yeah.
5 years ago, or
And
they're very good at hiding that.
Yeah.
but what they can't hide, Scott, the one thing that they can't hide, especially with judges, right, who are going from one step, especially when they're going from like a local level up to like a state level or whatever, right? What they can't hide is their legal record, all right, and how they,
Right,
what their precedent was in their court, right? So like if they have a
right,
history of letting people go, right, like we've been seeing, especially now we're watching all these activist judges like in real time, completely and totally circumvent the rule of law and
Hmm.
the separation of powers, okay, according to our constitution. We're seeing what they're doing with Trump, right? So but that's the one thing with judges, again, when they're going from one level to the next, that they can't hide, right? So when we as citizens see a judge running for the next level in our state, we can find the public record of how they ruled on stuff and everything. But it's up to us. It's still up to us no matter what, um like we always say, man, Scott, we're always telling our viewers and trying to tell America that you have to pay attention to what's going on locally
Hmm.
and what's going on in your state, because if you don't, especially with judges and DAs, the reason that we have places like California and Oregon and Washington where there is no rule of law, okay, and the judges side with
yeah, the judges
criminals
that don't get away with it.
consistently, okay, is because of the elections that have gone on for decades now in these states. And these judges and DAs and everything, though, like you were saying earlier, they're part of this fucking group of the lawyers association of dickheads, whatever they are, you know what I'm saying? And you find out, oh, they're
Mhm.
part of this, and then when you do a little deep diving, you're like, oh, these people
Yeah.
are really, really radical, and stuff. So it's again, it's paying attention to stuff. On that note, uh if you're just tuning in with us, we have Frankie Rodriguez with us tonight with Red Day and I. She's hanging with us. um she's just all her links are in the description. Please go, you know click on her links. What we're going to do is we're going to get into tariffs. She has an article on her webpage, and again, the link to her webpage is in the description. If you guys want to follow along on your laptops or your computers, if that's where you're watching, you can. Hi Rosie, how are you doing? She went into really, really good in depth, okay, on the tariffs, and essentially how not only they're going to help us, but how Biden never got
Uh,
rid of any of the tariffs that Trump put in place in
can
the
I
first elect. Go ahead. What are you
can
gonna
I just
say?
say one thing, Frankie,
Go
before
ahead.
you get into your rant about tariffs? You've pissed off one very very important person.
Is it you?
No, 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 not no. Harry Sisson came out today, and
Oh.
he's
Oh
very
my God.
upset that Nintendo is pausing the release of the latest Nintendo Switch,
it's
He's such a
it
and it's because of the tariffs. So
such
I
a
just want to let you
dick.
know the negative impact you're having
I
on the enrichment of the lives of people like Harry Sisson.
I
Eh, You
don't know
know,
how America will survive this.
Harry, that fucking twink, okay, and
What a
people like
pussy.
him, and people like he's a very
He,
pussy. He's a pussy, right? So people like him, okay, don't understand when NES came out back in the day, the games were like $80, and this was back in the fucking 1990s. Okay,
Yep.
so like I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's just
No.
again, he's a pendejo. He's busy giving
Oh,
He
fucking
gets
hit.
paid. He gets paid to
Yeah,
talk
he
and
is.
follow
Yeah.
scripts. Because here's the thing. He doesn't have anything to
Oh,
give the world of value for anyone to pay him for, so he has to resort to this. This is all that he has.
yeah,
Unfortunately, it's the coward's way, but that's all that he has. It's
yeah,
all that he has.
yeah. And
It's
him and he's
hilarious.
got like two other freaking pendejos that he's with, right? Two maricas that they all get together and give
The
each
two
other,
brothers.
yeah, they give each
Yeah.
other rusty trombones behind the scenes and shit like that together. Fucking pendejos. I can't stand that maricon. Every time I see his face, I just want to. Anyway, I'm not going to promote any violence, so I don't get in trouble on YouTube. Okay, he's busy fucking with his dirty Sanchez friends and shit like that. Fuck out of here. Anyway,
Crazy.
um, as we told you, it's gonna be a wet off Friday. It's gonna get wild. Uh, so, again, if you're just following us on YouTube and Rumble, Frankie Rodriguez is hanging with Scott and I tonight.
She's
We really
wondering why she
appreciate
came
it.
on.
She's just wondering. She's laughing right now, but she's like, "Why did I come on with this motherfucker right
I'm laughing because if you only knew the conversations between my dad and my brothers,
now?"
oh
Oh God,
man, just
good, good.
not YouTube wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
you know, again, if you're just joining us, all her links are in the description. We're gonna get into her article on tariffs. It's on her webpage, is in the description. If you're on your laptop or your computer and you want to follow along with us, please do. It's pretty in depth, and we're gonna let her just rant on tariffs for a little bit, so she can explain to everybody why this isn't necessarily a bad thing, like everybody's trying to tell you. Also, don't forget the Discord fam. Jonathan's been dropping the Discord in the chats and whatnot. And if you want to support the channel, there's a buy me a coffee link at the top of each chat on both Rumble and YouTube. So let me bring this article up. And I'll start reading a little bit from it. And then, Frankie, your own work. So you'll be able to just, rip into it.
And you know your audience best, so feel free to guide us through it, and whenever you want me to speak on it, just let me know. But
Absolutely. Oh, Danny Cruz is in the house. What's up, Danny? It's good to see you.
Good
Danny
morning.
Cruz.
he just said, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Frankie's on." He's like, "Holy crap!"
He came running.
Yeah, you know how we do, Danny. You know how we do. This is all Scott. Scott got this, put this together. So, let's all thank Scott that we got Frankie on hang with us tonight. So anyway, this article again, this is on her webpage. It's Trump's 2025 tariff strategy, what's proposed and what's already in place. All right. So the beginning of the article, um, she goes into a little bit about, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it, and then we're going to go into like percentages and everything. That way she can break stuff down quickly for us. It's a deep dive, and she's just highlights, why it's good. She also has a related article on the tariffs from 2018 and the stuff that essentially Biden never took when it came to China. So Trump's 2025
Yeah.
tariff strategy, what's proposed, what's already in place. In place as of today, this article was dated April 3rd. So 25% on Canada and Mexico. So if you want to get into that a little bit, Frankie, what does that mean with Canada? Because like we looked at that, we like the other day on Friday or Monday, I think we were going over, and it was showing like 10%. Or I'm sorry, Wednesday I was talking about it, and I was showing like 10% for Mexico,
Mhm.
10% for Canada. But that says 25%, and I'm sure you got more on it than what we went over on Wednesday.
Yeah, so I mean, we already know that the media loves to spin everything, and everything is a trade war to them. When you actually look at the reasons and you listen to Trump speak on this, it's not just tariffs to, add fees to other countries, right? Because there is a potential risk to increasing costs, but when you're using it as a negotiation tactic with other countries, it's a brilliant tactic that hasn't been used. So the way that Trump is using it, and he stated it himself several times, it's on the White House page, he's using this to fix the border problem. He's already spoken to the president, and we saw there was a lot of back and forth. They were using it for theatrics, for the news, but this worked. This forced the president of Mexico to finally bring 10,000 troops to the border. This
Mhm.
helped get them to control what was going on. This helped stop illegal immigration. I mean, we went from, what was the number on average? I think
95% drop.
it was a 95% drop. You
95% drop.
can't say that that was not effective with a
Right.
95% drop. I mean, it's barely over 100 people that they're catching
Yeah.
a day now. So
It's crazy.
that was the entire tactic for that. So now, and we'll get to that later, but so now Mexico doesn't have to worry about tariffs because now they're taking action to do exactly what Trump had asked for. You need to take accountability for what's going on in the southern border, for what's coming in with fentanyl, all of the illegal immigration. You need to have your own 10,000 of your own down there. Because the thing is too, and this wasn't included in this article, but we carry a lot of the weight for national defense.
For everybody.
Mexico does not pay the same for defense as we do,
Correct.
and neither does Canada. So we are
Correct.
protecting both of our neighbors while they just sit back and relax and let everyone flood our system, and then
Yeah.
we are responsible for fixing it. So this was a tactic, the exact same thing for Canada, because there's still things that are coming in from Canada. So in my
Including
opinion, it
including mass
obviously
illegal
worked.
immigration. Yeah, including
Mass,
mass. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean
mass
to cut you
illegal
off.
immigration.
Apologize.
You mean human trafficking?
Yeah,
Yes.
human trafficking. Yeah, that's really what it
Mhm.
is. Um, Yeah, so we knew that. Listen, yeah, I think just yesterday the president of Mexico was like, we're not gonna do anything with tariffs with the United States." Essentially, like you said, between the negotiations that were going on with her and Trump, Canada said the same thing, and you know, those of us who are not idiots, okay, we understood why he was doing this, right? We understood that, yeah, it's probably gonna get a little rough, a little bit, because we saw that the market, all right, reacted to it. But the market is for the uber rich that Obama helped get freaking, because, like, I mean, like, 8% of the country owns like 88% of the wealth right now. It's just an insane thing that's going on. And a lot of that happened under the Obama administration and continued to go on, especially the last administration. So uh, I feel personally that, by taking it to these other nations that have been ripping us off forever, and that's just a longer discussion that goes back to the Marshall Plan and everything, going way back after World War II. With us rebuilding all of Europe and everything. So that's like another talk show. But I think this negotiation is working. It's going to work. Will it get a little bit tough here in the United States? Yeah, it'll get a little bit tough. All right, but we're already seeing eggs, the price of eggs dropping. Gas in my area dropped and whatnot. So, like, there is positive effect that's happening. I don't go by the market. I go by what I can go pay, what I can afford, and go to pick up at the grocery store, because the market is just, that's the uber rich who have that right now. They have Wall Street has complete control of that, right? People running Wall Street have control of the market. It's not the average citizen. Yes, we have 401k plans and whatnot like that. That's going to take a little bit of a beating, but the market always corrects itself, and
Mhm.
it will with this too. So, that's just my freaking little 2 cents that I can go buy penny candy with. Um, so 20% on China, up from 10%. Go ahead, Frankie.
This was basically kind of slapping China a little bit because they didn't do anything. Again, the same with Mexico. They were asked to take accountability for what they were responsible for. And the majority of the fentanyl that was coming through the southern border is coming from China. And
Right,
because they failed to fix that problem, he upped the tariffs. So again, same thing. They were calling for retaliation. They, wanted to say that this was unfair, but when we look forward in this article, we can see that China actually charges the US 67% and we're barely charging them 20,
Mm.
30%.
Yeah,
So for them to cry retaliation, I think is hilarious. But I thought it was interesting that instead of them sitting down to negotiate the problem that they were causing, clearly, knowingly causing, they decided instead of fixing the problem, they decided to cry wolf and cry retaliation instead of fixing what
right,
was going on. So I think it's very interesting when you look at the context of things. I think this is why it's also dangerous when the media only looks at one side, because you have to look at the context of everything, of the intent, of the purposes, of why the negotiations are going down the way that they are, right? It's because tariffs isn't just, again, to charge another country a
right,
fee to sell to us. You have to look at everything that's going on, because tariffs aren't always the right decision either. Depending on
correct.
how the country is doing, you have to look at inflation. What does
Mm.
the GDP look like? Is there a trade deficit? What does all of that look like? So you have to take all of these different things into consideration and then use that as a tactic. Like it's leverage. Leverage is cash. So when you use it strategically, you can either bring in a crap ton of revenue for the country, or you're going to incentivize these countries to invest in us, which we have seen already today, I think it was over 12 countries already that have, what did they say? I think it was over $5 trillion of investment coming in of
Yeah.
other
I
countries stating we will put in $100 billion to build manufacturing in the US to avoid
right.
these tariffs. So, what does that do? That's bringing us jobs, that's bringing us revenue. So, you have to look at how this is being used as negotiation and bringing us more jobs, bringing us more revenue. You can't look at it from just one angle of, well, there's a risk, there's a risk, there's a risk. Because it's the same thing with stocks, right? There's always a risk, but if you know
Yeah.
what you're doing, you're always going to win. Go ahead,
Correct.
Sam.
The
Yes, Scott.
the biggest the problem is that the people who are generally on the left, there's very little discernment and there's very little research that goes into any issue. I mean, they literally could be told by some talking head that tariffs are misogynistic,
It's true,
or
and they'll go with
Listen,
it.
listen.
tariffs hurt Native
Tariffs
Americans
are
more than
racist.
anybody else.
Yeah.
Tariffs
Tariffs,
hurt the climate.
Yeah.
You just didn't even realize
Ta-
that before.
tariffs
And without
tariffs are
any sort of,
transphobic.
yeah,
yes,
tariffs are
tariffs are
transphobic.
very transphobic.
And they want to, I mean, that's the thing. It's like if you think about like what's the long game, whatever you want to call it, the long game, a lot of times with Trump people call it 5D chess or whatever. Um, yeah, there's a method to everything. And nobody, like, for example, like you go on like CNN or MSNBC or most of the media, most of the media still leans very left. Probably at least 80%, maybe higher.
It's more than
Yeah.
90.
Yeah, more than 90.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Have you ever once heard them saying, well, what about all the tariffs that were already in place against the US?
Yeah. Of course not.
And if
That
you
Just
see the
one
list,
conversation. I would
it's
love
a
one
very
conversation.
it's a very long list of
Mhm.
countries that charge more than China, and China charges
yes.
67%. There are
Yes.
countries charging 99 and
Yeah.
97%. Not a
Vietnam.
few.
Vietnam, and we're like their lifeline when it comes to manufacturing of actually
Oh
giving them
yeah.
business, charges us
Vietnam
90%.
already came out and said that they've said forget it. We're gonna cancel our tariffs if you'll cancel
Yeah.
ours, and I think Trump already agreed to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
what
it's
people
working.
don't understand is you go to China, like someone was texting me today saying, "Oh my God, China's going to tariff us." I'm like, "What the f
They're already
do we
tariffing us.
sell in China?
Yeah.
China
Right.
doesn't let us sell anything in
Yeah.
China. That's
No,
so who cares? Make it what 35? Make it 135. Who
Yeah.
cares? We
Right.
buy from China. Do you
Yeah.
exactly.
understand the difference? Like people don't understand.
Which goes
Yeah.
back to Canada and Mexico again, right? Canada, I think we are 70% of their business.
Yes.
You really wanna bite the hand that feeds you? That's not a
Yeah.
smart
Yeah.
move.
They're
And
not 70% of our business, that's for
No,
sure.
yeah, and I
absolutely
think
not.
as far as they're importing from us is like 35% or something. That's still a lot. Okay. I mean, that's just it's insane, and we've been trying to tell people again, we always trying to educate people here about this tariff thing that it's not the end of the
So
world.
funny.
Okay. It's just people just don't do their due diligence, right? Like Scott was just saying on the left, they hear something in the 90% media, the Marxist state media is 90%, leftist, and they go with it, and they don't understand that that's just not how it works. And
They could
like
tell
you're
them
saying,
anything
Frankie,
and they would
yeah, they
just
could tell them
believe it.
anything. Like you were
And
saying, Frankie, it's working. It's
mhm,
actually, and like Scott said too, just today, Vietnam was like, yeah, we're going to drop our tariffs if you do it. And we just want fair trade, right? Because, like,
That's all we
you
want.
know, these countries, China, like Scott said, China doesn't let us sell our things in China. You know who else doesn't let us sell our things? The EU.
mhm.
Okay. And they
Exactly.
fucking rake us over the coals. All right. But
Oh, yeah.
that, again,
Hmm.
goes back to the Marshall Plan that I was talking about because we rebuilt after World War II, we rebuilt, okay, Europe. All right, and we gave them all the freaking pass when it came to trade. It was like all right, you can tax us because we were, the dominant nation. We had all the money in the world, and that wasn't going to last forever though. Okay, that just couldn't
Right.
last forever. But we
Mhm.
continued to let that go, and it continued to compound and whatnot. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a terrible thing. But next thing, this is a big one. All right, because this I can't believe that we even get our stuff from China when it comes to this. 25% on steel and aluminum. That's just that's, the fact that we get impure steel from China is just amazing.
We know what
And
they
I
did to our housing industry.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah. And
Horrible
I will
material.
say I think that was one major thing that we had our eyes open to during COVID, how much we rely on other countries for everything that we need.
China in particular.
China in
How about pharmaceuticals?
China. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. But just all our medical stuff, China. That's insane. It's just insane. Well, I mean, that goes back to again the Clinton administration with Clinton taking a $500,000 campaign finance, campaign, some money from the Chinese. He gave them all kinds of rocket technology. He opened it up for manufacturing to go over there to make it, so that they can go. But that's even more with Nixon. But with Clinton, once he did that, that actually killed our pharmaceutical company in Puerto Rico. That just like wiped out the pharmaceuticals in Puerto Rico because then they went to other countries and stuff like that. So that was one of the biggest things in PR was pharmaceuticals and stuff like that for medicines and everything.
yeah,
Then that just like wiped out the island when it came to that. But it's just this right here, steel and aluminum. How we use steel and aluminum for like everything, and we're our adversary. We're relying on our adversary to get the shit, and they send us impure stuff because they mix it with other alloys and everything, and it's not pure. All right. And this is something that I know was really, really big with Trump because he saved US Steel in his last term.
mhm,
Okay. And then he was like totally pissed when they sold out to the Japanese. Like he was like, how did that even happen? How did we let that happen? We let US Steel, one of our longest, steel companies that has been with us forever, we let the Japanese buy them and stuff. It's we should not. We have all the resources we need to continue to produce steel in this country. And what Trump's trying to do, what America, what you have to understand is he's trying to flip the manufacturing switch on in the United States. Okay, because when we flip that switch here in the U.S., we are completely and totally unstoppable. Okay, we proved that in World War II. All right, the minute we flip that manufacturing switch on in the U.S., there isn't a nation that could keep up with us. They just can't. And he's trying to do that by, not only with American companies, he's trying to force these, like you said, Frankie, if you come here and you build your manufacturing plant here in the United States and you actually build it you're gonna get American made products, okay, with American ethics, with everything's gonna be inspected. You're gonna get like solid products, okay,
mhm.
with American ingenuity and hardworking Americans is gonna freaking sweat for you, all right, in order to make a really solid product. So you don't have to worry about
Which
cheap shit.
which brings more revenue into the country, boosts the economy, more money is going around. It's win, 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 win. How could you possibly be against this?
Well, they weren't in the 1990s. I don't know if you've seen the video going around with Nancy Pelosi talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
she broke it down, right? She even had a chart.
1996? That was a great
Yeah,
video.
she had a chart and everything talking about, yeah, look, we only charge them 2% on tariffs and China hits us with 35%.
Mhm,
Right? This is bad. We can't keep doing this because the little man is the one that's hurting, and American jobs, we're losing American jobs to places like China because of these tariffs, right?
mhm,
Like she meant that shit and she was right, right? She wasn't even wrong
mhm.
about it back then. But all of a sudden, she's completely, totally silent. Stretch Pelosi is in her fucking cave somewhere hanging like the vampire that she is.
Well, it's very easy for them to play politics when they're not the ones getting credit for the win. They
Right.
have to make sure that the other side is always losing because that's the only way for them to maintain power.
You know,
So,
Yeah.
it's a dangerous game,
it's
and the
not
further we
just
get into it, you realize you have to pay attention.
Right.
it's not just political capital, it's just straight up money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like no matter what happens, it seems like and Republicans can be just as bad at this.
Oh,
It's
Yes.
absolutely.
like
Oh,
If
absolutely.
anything, they're
what
worse.
Yeah, they're worse.
let's make this great bill, but wait a minute, if we're losing any sort of like if the stocks that I invested in are going to
Mhm.
lose anything, then it's
Yeah.
probably a bad idea. You
Yeah.
know, you'll see
Yeah.
people flip on a dime.
You have guys like Mitch Foreskin Neck McConnell, what's his face, Dan One Eye Willie Crenshaw. These guys are making all
Mhm.
kinds of money and everything hand over fist. With the military industrial complex and
Mhm.
everything, which is why they were constantly voting in favor of just blowing our money in Ukraine and whatnot and everywhere else. They're making money hand over fist. So like you said, Frankie, the Republicans even worse, right? Because they tell you, yeah, this is wrong, but silently they're all lining their pockets and everything. At
Mhm.
least with the American Communist Party, aka the Democrats. All right, you see it like Well, now it's overt, right? They used to hide it for a very long time. They don't hide it anymore. They just like
They
out and
don't,
out doing it because they know nobody's going to come after them and stop them.
which is wild. Which like, again goes back to that accountability because even if they have an R next to their name, means nothing. If
Absolutely nothing.
anything, you should
Does
be
not.
more cautious of anyone on the Republican
Just be
side
careful.
because
Just
if you
don't
yeah,
trust
if you
anybody.
You can't. You really can't because when you go back and you look at their voting record, you see how many times they actually voted with the Democrats and voted against what they were literally voted into office to do.
Yeah.
You see how quickly it means nothing and
Yep.
how they go from a $180,000 salary to making multi-millions. It's very easy to see.
Yeah.
It follow the money and you know exactly who is actually for America and who isn't.
Yeah, because it's not all in
You-
stock, right? We all know that the insider trading is going on, but it's not only in
Mhm.
stock.
It's
There's
not.
shit ton of kickbacks and stuff like
Mhm.
that. They're laundering it through all kinds of funnels and stuff. USAID was a big
Mhm.
place where they were laundering their money, right? One of the reasons why they're losing their shit over it, because they've lost the lifeline of
Oh, yeah.
laundering money all around the world,
Their
right?
pet projects.
Yes.
And then going another layer deeper, who is in their circle? Who is in their family? Who are their spouses? Right? Because if you look at who's Anthony Fauci married to? Oh my
Yep.
gosh, what a wild coincidence what she was running. So
Yep.
you have to look at the entire circle and see everything everywhere that they have their fingers into because it's once you start going down that rabbit hole, it's so easy to connect all the dots.
Yeah.
There's so many secret little
There's,
pockets that they steal money from, and you have no idea because the news is telling
there's,
you, "Oh, yeah, we're feeding homeless people over here down in South Africa," and that
Yeah.
money is
there's
actually not
actually a
going to
guy.
South Africa at all.
No, well, there's actually a video on my page about a woman from Africa who will tell you that the money's not going there. She'll tell you she's actually happy that USAID got funded because she said because we never got the money.
Wow.
Yep.
Um, say there's a guy on TikTok. There's a kid. He's probably in college. He's just a very smart fucking kid. Um, and he freaking does a deep dive on every single politician, on
Oh,
what
that's
they
amazing.
are invested in. He literally has a video, and I'm talking left and right. He's not just picking on like the
Mhm.
AOCs of the world. He goes after everybody. And you know what? You know who broke my heart this week?
Who?
Somebody on the Republican side who I love
Oh, who
broke
is
my
it?
heart this week.
Who
I
broke
had
your
hopes
heart?
that this person would be president soon. Fucking Byron Donalds.
No
Oh,
shit.
no.
What
What
happened?
what did
Millions
they
in the
find?
stock market. Millions in the stock market. And people just gave it to me. They gave me the receipts. I'm like, I cannot believe. And
Yeah.
the only defense I had, they're like, because one of them was trying to throw it in my face because they know I'm a Byron Donald simp, and I'm just like, you know what? Apparently, he's just like everybody else.
And
Well,
this
Everybody.
is clearly insider trading and, like, none
yeah.
of this was
You know,
just regular
I
stocks
don't know
before
if
he
it's.
went in office?
I mean, I don't know if it's insider trading. It's just a matter of
So
he's making a
wasn't he a
ton of money off the stock market,
but wasn't he a
and it's just
financial
like
guy before he
he
even
was
went
a
into
huge financial guy, so
so
he knows exactly what he's doing.
well that's what
But
I'm
just the
saying. Like
fact that he's someone that like on the Republican side, that we put like way over there, like, oh no, they're like MAGA, they're like so,
right.
they're like Anna Paulina Luna, they're like Matt Gates, they're not they're not part of the Republican establishment. They're not on the take, and no, they're the ones that the Republicans hate, and no, they're I think pretty much all along the same line,
Okay,
and
so
it's
did they
just
show you all right. So let's get into this a little bit deeper, right? Like when you look at Dan Crenshaw, right? Like you get to see and
Mhm,
they find his portfolio, his stock portfolio. A lot of his shit is in
mhm,
the military industrial
Mhm.
complex, right? He's used
right.
his top secret clearances that he had as a Navy SEAL. Probably continue to they because that's one of the things when you get a clearance, you actually have to continue to keep it going, right? Unless it gets revoked, right? It's not something that lasts forever. You have to
Yeah,
take the time to show. You actually have to show the government that you're using your clearance, right? So like he probably did that, like a lot of them do. A lot of these generals and shit like that. That's what they do. That's how they get hired by the
but see,
Raytheons of the world and everything
but
like that,
Dan
right?
Dan is a douche for things way beyond the stock market.
I
You-
understand that, but what?
He's not
No,
a
but what
douche
I'm
But to
just
saying
for
is
like
compare,
making himself rich.
stock
but that's
stocks,
but that's what I'm
yeah,
saying is like what I'm saying is we know he's a douche and he's a
yeah.
fucking listen, we know One Eye Willie is
His
just a
voting
dickhead.
record
We
makes
get
him a
that.
douche.
But what I'm saying is with Byron Donalds when they were throwing receipts at you when you were looking at it,
Mhm.
did they show you exactly what stocks he was holding or
Yeah, they
just
did. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but they were. I was looking at it, and they're just like, "See, this is all the money he made, and these are the stocks."
okay?
And I'm just
But
like, look, I'm looking at it, but I didn't do a deep dive on it myself.
right,
I didn't
right,
say like, well, when did he buy it? When was this? When was this?
Mhm.
But
right.
he had, he's made quite a bit of money in the
Okay.
stock market since he became a rep, and
But
it's
the
just
reason I'm saying
disappointing. It's just
no, of course,
disappointing. That's all.
as it
Mhm.
should
It's
be,
just
as it should
disappointing.
be. The only reason I'm saying is because he was a big finance guy prior to that. Okay,
Hmm.
was he continuing to make his money on the shit that he did prior to, or did he use his office like these other fuckheads? Okay, and get the insider trading with some of
Mhm.
the like because of a bill was
Yeah.
passed and they're connected to some company that's going to get money and grants and shit like that and everything and then their stock goes up and he's
Maybe.
making money. So that's what I want to
That's
know
yeah, because
because
that's a
bec-
very different
Yeah.
thing.
it's very important to
Mhm.
understand that because if it's just that hey he's got millions of dollars because he fucking works the stock market really good but he's not even connected to any of the usual suspects of companies that the US
Yeah.
government these that our representatives make money off of then it's just you're just showing me that he's a fucking multimillionaire which he probably
Mhm.
was prior to becoming a representative. So
And if
what's the
anything, I
Uh,
mean, that
that I'm
I
not
will
so sure
say,
about.
and I don't know all the details, right? But if
Mhm.
it's one of the reasons why I gravitated towards Donald Trump as well. I know a lot of people say, well, he had this failure and this bankruptcy and this and this. Listen, this man took $1 million loan and turned it into billions. This guy is smart. You can't just give a random person on the street $1 million
no shit.
and have them turn it into $1 billion. He could lose everything
I love
today and build it all back tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I love
it,
that
there
argument.
yeah, so there is for sure a difference. I would love to dive into that because I want to see if he made that money prior or if it was from insider trading because that is
Yeah.
very different. And if he made that money prior, then that's incredible because that means that he understands money. He understands
Yep.
that it's not just a game of you need to time the market right and you need to do this and you have to no, when you understand how money works, you understand that there is no perfect timing for the market. You have to understand where things are moving, what companies are coming in, what technology is next, what's trending. You have to understand a lot of different aspects
Yeah.
to where this money is going to go. And then you have to know how to hold it when it goes down, when to buy more, when to sell. So if he understood all of that prior and made his millions, that's somebody that understands the mindset of long game. That's somebody that I do want on our side because they're not just thinking
Sure.
instant gratification. They're not thinking, well, we just need to save a buck tomorrow. Well, I don't care if I can save $5 tomorrow if I could make $10,000 in the next week. So it's very critical and I'm not saying he's good or he's bad. I'm just saying it is
No,
very
you have to
important
just look
to
closely
for
at
sure
everybody.
to really
Yeah.
look closely because there's a huge difference. There's a huge
Yeah.
difference because the same thing would be saying, we can't trust Elon or we can't trust Donald Trump because they have billions. But if they are building things and providing value to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, there's a reason why they have that much money. So if he's investing and he understands and that's how he honestly made his money, I think that's very respectable if he did it honestly. But that's
Yeah.
if it was honestly, as long as it wasn't
Yeah.
insider trading or using something from his office.
Yeah. That's all my argument was because like I know you're brokenhearted, man, but like just them
Well,
throwing
it was
because
just
you know how they
disappointing. I was
are.
like, damn,
Because but you know how the left is, right? They don't do like you said it earlier. They don't do
well,
their
let's
due
put it this way.
diligence.
These were not lefties that were throwing this information at me. These were people
With
that I actually dialogue with regularly.
hmm
These are people that are on Team Trump.
uh-huh.
So I take their word a little bit more.
I gotcha.
I take them more at face value than just someone who's coming in my DMs to be like, you suck.
Right. Right.
Because
But
honestly, when someone tells me, "Oh yeah, Trump," do you know how many times Trump's claimed bankruptcy and how many businesses? I'm like, you know what? Does he look like he's on the street holding the hat out for like a penny?
Yeah, no shit.
Obviously, he's had more successes than failures. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't care if he's got 10 fucking bankruptcies. He obviously has at least 25 successes
which
yeah,
which
because
no shit.
which again
he
goes to
eats a
show
lot better
you
than I do.
again goes to show you a person that has run a business and a person that has never even tried to run a business,
Right.
because every
Exactly.
successful person, every single one will tell you, "I didn't make it with my first business. I failed, I
Yep.
failed, I failed, I failed, I figured it out, bam." And then everyone thinks, "Oh, overnight success." That's not how it works.
That's
It
not
was
how it
10,
works.
15 years of failing and making $0.
Yeah.
Andy
Right.
Frisella, again, talking about it. He talks about this all the time. I think he made 40 something thousand dollars in a total of 10 years,
I heard him
and
say that.
he's
He
a
was actually on his
millionaire.
podcast. He talked about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that he said
and
for like 10 years he made maybe a total
made
of was like 40
nothing.
or 50 grand or something like that.
He slept on a mattress.
Yeah.
I'm giving him a lot of, like, free advertising right now, but if you don't know
That's
who
all right. You
Andy
could plug him.
Frisella is,
Yeah.
also go listen to Andy
I,
Frisella.
Uh,
But
I just want to
he
say,
talks
hey,
about that all
real
the
quick, I
time.
just want to say,
It's
hey,
pivotal.
Nikki, I see you out there. I think
hey, yeah, let's
Nikki's
say
first
hi.
time in the chat.
Let's say hi
I think
really quick
Nikki's
to
first
people.
time out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nikki, it's nice to see you. Don't glad to see that you're here
Sorry,
and you're
Frankie.
joining with us.
No, no, no,
Um,
no. We need to say hi.
yeah, conserve reality. It's good to see you, brother. One and only Blondie. It's always good to see you, hun. Did I miss anybody? Danny Cruz. We said Danny Cruz. I think
Yeah,
Danny
Danny's there.
Acosta, Daniel Acosta was here.
Acosta.
Yeah.
How's it going, Acosta? Acosta's watching from Miami.
Okay. So
Oh,
we got,
nice.
that's a new
Floridians
viewer
over here,
here. Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. We got Florida's repping and whatnot. Nikki, we hope to see you more. Okay. We know it's your first time
Yeah,
here. We
Nikki.
hope you keep it coming. If
Welcome,
you're just
Nikki,
joining
welcome.
us, we got Frankie Rodriguez with us tonight. She was diving into
The real
tariffs.
Frankie.
The real
The real
Frankie.
Frankie.
That's right. The real
Real
Frankie
Frankie.
Rodriguez is with us
There's
tonight.
there
He
there
did
is
a
another Frankie Rodriguez.
Really?
really?
I don't know who he is, but I
No.
am the real one.
Right. All right. So the real
We
Frankie
did a
Rodriguez. I
podcast
gotta
with the
make
fake
sure.
Frankie Rodriguez about two
Yeah.
weeks ago, and let me tell you, it
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Absolutely
happens.
sucked.
It happens.
It's
um,
brutal.
all of her links are in the description. Um, she's got her own webpage which has just a wealth of information on it. So please make sure that you tune in, sign up with your emails so that you can get her letters and stuff like that. She always has some really good stuff, and she was delving into the tariffs. She just has some really fantastic articles on there.
She rubbed shoulders with Trump. I saw the
She
video
did.
back in
Yeah, she
October.
yeah, she
She
rubbed
was there,
shoulders with
I
baby.
have
Trump.
I have shaken his hand.
Yeah, she was
Yes.
she was stumping in Las Vegas, and like I think Danny Cruz says that you've been holding it down in Las Vegas for a very long time.
I have.
Um, he was very surprised to see you
It's
on
an
the
important
show.
state.
It's a
Yeah,
very very important state. So
yeah.
speaking of Las Vegas, goodness, Nevada.
Lost
We
Vegas.
had Gabby was on with us. Yeah, Gabby was on with us after the election. Noemi comes to hang with us occasionally. So what are you seeing in Nevada now since the election?
Honestly, it's a lot of hope. I see I don't know, it's a different vibe. I feel like a lot of people see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. People are excited to work on their businesses, they're going out, they're, you know, going on vacation more. It just seems so much more relaxed here. I think people are a lot more excited about business coming back. Tourism is coming back from what it seems. And so it's great for people here. I'm waiting for no taxes on tips, um, because I used to be in that industry and it is not easy. And if there was any state to start that, this was the state. And I spoke to a lot of people about that. There were a lot of people that didn't know too much about politics and they didn't really understand what was going on. And when I spoke to them, every time I went to a restaurant, I always talked to my waiter and would ask them, "Hey, how do you like it here? What are your plans afterward?" And it was a lot of great conversations, and a lot of them said, "I've never voted," and a lot of others said, "I'd never vote Republican, but this is the first time that I feel like someone actually cares about my well-being." So it's been amazing to see, and it seems like a very positive shift here. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Harry Reid Democratic Party is gone, in Nevada. Harry Reid had a lot of power, and since his passing and whatnot, it's just been they've made one fatal error after the other, which is good for us anyway. Uh, so what do you see as far as like the state legislature, the Supreme Court? I know was giving us a hard time during the election and whatnot. Do you see any positive changes coming, on the state level as far as the courts and the legislature getting maybe more redder?
I I don't know if it will be an easy transition because they're not going to give up that power easily, but I have seen a plethora of people standing up. There are a lot more people that are willing to go to I mean, even school board meetings, right? So many people are standing up and speaking out and trying to make sure that their voices are heard. I know that people are calling offices, they're making sure that these people in office are being held accountable. So it's not going to be an easy transition, but I think enough people saw how badly we were screwed here in Nevada that people realize how important it is for local elections, for local government. Um, I've
As
spoken to a lot of yeah, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how important, or has there been any changes to Cook County?
To Clark
Because
County?
that seemed, I'm sorry, Clark County, yeah.
To Clark County?
In
The
Yeah, that
I've
seems to
seen
be like the most important one with, if it sways a little bit one way or the other. Has there been any like movement there in terms of like moving more to the right or not really?
what's really interesting, so we had won a few different things in November, but we
Mhm.
didn't win certain seats, which kind of doesn't make sense. So for example, we one of
Yeah.
the things on the ballot was abortion, and it overwhelmingly was to keep it. But we overwhelmingly won a lot of other
Right.
seats. So it's just very interesting. I think a lot of people are paying a lot more attention to the economic policies. I think people are waking up to that because it's now hitting their pocket. It's affecting their pocket. So I
Mhm.
think people are slowly shifting and understanding those policies. But I think, especially in Las Vegas, I mean, Las Vegas runs Nevada, basically. Whatever happens
Right.
here in Clark County
Exactly.
is Nevada. So because we're such a large, I mean, we run on tourism. It's all entertainment, and a lot of those people, I don't want to say unfortunately, but a lot of those people are on the left, and they do make decisions emotionally. They
Mhm.
are literally in the city of sin. So it is easy for them to want to protect certain things that obviously we are against. But I do for sure see that there is a transition happening. I think people are realizing how important it is to pay attention to the economics and to pay attention to the policies. But with certain aspects that have that emotional hold on them, I think that's going to take a little bit longer, but I do see it
Yeah.
shifting for sure, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
It does. I'm curious just because I know how, like I said before, it's a very important state, but
Mhm.
it's one of those states that there's like a lot of these swing states, if you notice, it pretty much boils down to like one county, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
like Arizona. Maybe Arizona was the one I was thinking of. Like Cook, is that
Maricopa
Cook
County.
County?
Maricopa.
Maricopa.
No,
You
Cook
know,
County's where Chicago's at.
okay, Chicago. A lot of these states, it's just like that one freaking
Mhm.
county. That's how the Democrats kind of like cling to control of the state.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If they just hold on to that one, like there's a lot of states that are not like that. Like California is not like that. It's not a single county state. Florida is not like that. Even New
Yeah.
York is not like that. The population, Texas is not like that. It's very spread. The population is very spread out. There's a lot of major cities, cars throughout it. But like Illinois, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, um, Minnesota. They're very much like if you control Minnesota, if you control Minneapolis, St. Paul, you control the
Yeah.
state.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just like that. So it's tough. It's a tough nut to crack because unfortunately Republicans generally they just don't go hard in those counties.
Yeah.
They don't pound the. That's the one thing the Democrats do better than us is that they're knocking on doors. Their ground game is better.
That
Mhm.
grassroots is way
That's
better
why
than ours.
Scott
Oh, for
Presler
sure.
did great in
They're great
Pennsylvania
at
because he
organizing.
he brought that ground game to Pennsylvania. That's how we won Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I wish we had like a Scott Presler in every state. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
someone who's not afraid to go out there and just put himself out there and take the hits.
Yeah,
And
our
and
ground game is like light years behind where the Democrats are at, but um, obviously got better this last election. But Scott, you're 100% correct, man. It still sucks. We still got a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
We're still behind, very, very far behind. And the thing is, like like we've talked about a million times, right? When we play by the same rules that they do, we beat them,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? The rules
Yeah.
are in place, right? When we actually are following the rules and saying, okay, you know what, we're gonna play by your rules because that's the rules that we're given, right? These are the cards that we're given. We beat them every
Mhm.
time we do it, right? But then we fall back, okay, into bad habits, and then we forget about shit that's going on, or we don't, like we said earlier, we don't look into any new things that might be going on in our state, and we just drop the ball, and
Well,
all across the
the
board.
the issue is I feel like they get too comfortable, especially once they're in office for their first term. They get way too comfortable. They follow those traditional routes of this is what I need to do. I just need to knock on a couple doors and do a few events and I'm solid. And that's not how it should be. And I think, and I've said this from the beginning, the problem is because the left, right, they're fantastic at organizing. They're great at messaging because they pull that emotion. They're great at that. But it's not necessarily that they're great at pulling the emotion to get you to vote. They understand that that's what gets their voter demographic to vote. If their side is emotional, they don't need data. They don't need numbers. They don't need logic.
Yep.
They just need to convince you you'll
Yep.
feel better if you vote this way.
Yeah.
And for us, it's the opposite because we tend to be more analytical. We look at the data, we look at the logic of, okay, well, what's the end game? Because it's more of like that business mentality. We're looking at the end game. So for us, if you can tell us, well, here's this case, these are the resources that we have, and if we do this, we'll get A or we'll get B. Okay, well, that sounds great. I think I like this. Great. It's very simple. But the problem is these people that especially obviously on the Republican side, they get so comfortable in their traditional way of campaigning that
Yeah.
they forget you have to look at who your voter base is and you need to understand how to talk to them. And if you are in a city, right, let's say for example in Clark County in Las Vegas, if you don't know how to talk to those people, you are never going to win them. If you don't go where they are, you are never going to be able to get them to listen. This is why it was so impactful that Trump made the announcement of no tax on tips here and it blew up because that is critical. Nevada does not survive without entertainment. He knew his audience for Nevada, the same for every other state. So if you understand your audience, you're going to understand how to speak to them and figure out what are their biggest concerns and what do I need to do to find a solution for that. You know, the same way that the left was demonizing men, demonizing Christian men, and then demonizing Christian white men, right? That was his opportunity and Barron was brilliant for this. Where do men go? Men listen to podcasts. They're
Yep.
listening to Joe Rogan. They're listening to Full Send. They're listening to Theo, right? So to
Oh, yeah.
go on those podcasts and have an
Mhm.
open conversation of exactly what you're planning, those men are going to listen and they're going to think, wow, this is the first time that there's a candidate that's actually standing up for me and is telling me that I can be a man and I can be strong and I can be masculine and there is nothing wrong with that. And I should strive to be that because that's what a man is. And that's going to gravitate towards them. But the left didn't do that. The left this time lost because they demonized everybody. Go ahead, Scott.
And they
Yeah.
did offer them tampons.
You
They
know
did.
what they did? They did. That was
Yeah.
very considerate of them.
Did it. And on that note, speaking of fucking tampons, tampon tube. Uh,
That was the guy.
that
Did you see that
I
comedian
was I don't
today?
know how he didn't
There,
win with that.
there,
That was the
there was a
that was
I
it.
there
mean,
was a comedian that came out and he like nailed it. He was just like, dude, they brought out Tim Walz to win over the white suburban male vote.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
know.
Yeah.
and what did he do? He came out and offered tampons, and he was
And
just like his impression of it was good. He just came out and was like
yeah,
And
and him is
the audacity to say, "I'm bringing
white
back
straight men.
masculinity."
yeah, and then while trying to bring back masculine for the left,
Yeah. Yeah.
him and Adam Kinzinger almost fucking killed themselves. Okay, They almost
God,
shot themselves. Fucking idiots. Okay, I'm just like,
it's
and Adam
hilarious.
Kinzinger was in the military. I was like, dude, you should know better, man. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
that was
That was just
terrifying and
ridiculous.
funny at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, really, dude. And again, it was like fucking an SNL skit watching them two monkeys freaking dilly
No,
Really
you
dallying
was.
can't
and
you can't
fiddling.
give
You can't
SNL
make
that
that
much
shit up.
credit because their
That's
writers
true.
are terrible.
Yeah, it's not like the 80s and
Pretty
like the
bad.
90s were like the last time that they were
That
funny
was it. That was
and
it.
whatnot. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Tampon Tim was just, and they they ran with that.
Frank,
Trump ran
Frank,
with that shit, and it just like
actually, that
stuck.
reminds me. Frankie, we forgot to, I don't think we've actually known this, but without, you don't have to tell us your exact age, but are you a millennial or are you a Gen Xer?
Oh wait, when is the cutoff? I always get them confused.
1980 is the cutoff.
Yeah, for
For which one?
Gen X. Gen X
1980
ends in
between Gen X
1980.
and millennial.
Yeah,
Millennial starts at 80, and then when is the next
Starts at
one?
81.
80.
The
81.
next one is 97.
Oh,
I'm after 80.
87. If what is millennial go from 1980
Mil-
to 1995?
Yes,
Millennial is 80 to 97.
80 to 95.
80 to
95.
95. That's
Yeah,
millennial. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
millennial.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But are you an older millennial or a
You're
younger
one of the
millennial?
few millennials that we actually, get along with, believe it or not. There's
We're
not
Gen
too many.
Xers. We're Gen
We're Gen
Xers. Who
Xers. We're old
But
fogies.
that's why I asked, are you an older millennial or a younger millennial?
I'm like in
Because
the
it's even
middle. I'm like a
all right.
middle millennial.
Because a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
the older millennials kind of like they kind of drift over to Gen X a little bit like we do,
Yeah. Yeah.
but to be in the middle as a millennial and just have the insight
Like
that you
I got
do,
the best. Yeah, I got the best of both worlds.
you did. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well,
Like I had the original Nintendo, but
we got both
like
Yeah.
worlds.
yeah.
Well, we had
Yeah.
the original Nintendo.
I had the
We also
original.
had Atari 2600s.
Oh, I didn't have that one.
I had
Yeah,
in
that one wasn't.
television. I had in
Yep.
television. I had Coleco. This is starting to
Coleco.
go back. Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
even know what that is.
Yeah. Oh
That's
shit.
awesome. Yeah, you have
Giving
to be
away,
Gen X to know that.
giving away my age. Well,
No, no, you
You
guys
listen.
are
have to
still
know
young.
that.
Yeah, you guys are
I'm
still young.
50.
It
I'm
doesn't matter.
51. So like
What?
Scott. Yeah, I'm 51.
We're both 51.
Yeah.
No, no, you
Yeah.
guys are lying.
No. I'm
No.
51. I got a
You guys are
31-year-old son.
no, you don't.
I do.
Mhm.
No, you don't.
I
We're
do.
gonna
And
have to listen. We're
I
gonna
have
have
a
to go to
31-year-old
we're
pair
gonna
of
have to go to the
underwear.
chat and ask them, can we get a lifeline here? I want to make a call and confirm this. Because I
Got
thought both of
Frankie.
you were like in your 30s.
No way.
Frankie's throwing a lifeline to the chat. Chat, you know us. Are Red Day and I 51 years old or not?
We're both,
There's no
the,
way.
the the funny thing is that when we met each other last year,
Yeah.
basically, like about a
Yeah.
couple months before the election, we didn't know each other before then.
Right.
Yeah.
And then not to come to find out that we're both about the same age, that we both come from Puerto Rican backgrounds, and that our birthday is literally like 3 days apart
When is
Yep.
the birthday? Please say
in
October.
December.
In
December. No, we're
December.
both
In December. We're
Sagittariuses.
both
Okay.
Sages.
We're
Yeah.
both
Okay, well,
Sags. This is funny.
Yeah.
That's
And we
amazing.
It
both
is.
don't
It
look
is.
our age.
Yeah.
No,
So
neither one of you.
Frankie needs confirmation, chat, if Scott and I are 51 or not. She asked us. She
Jonathan
Oh,
asked.
said it right
I
there.
like
She said, "Yeah, they
Rosina.
are."
Age is not the thing that decides intelligence. We know that
That
for a
is
fact.
true. That is true.
Yes.
No,
100%.
no,
Some of the
absolutely not.
dumbest people I know got fucking PhDs and doctorates and everything. That some of
Oh
them they're
yeah.
morons.
Oh yeah.
Um. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I do I
Yes,
do have a lot of fun at millennials' expenses though, because I
I do.
think
We
on
both do.
social media, at least on social media, I actually am finding a lot more Gen Zers that are moving a little bit
Yeah.
further from the left. Maybe
Yeah.
that I'm not saying they're like full blown conservative, but there's I don't see as many Gen Zers out there that are just like going off the wall.
You'd be
Um,
surprised how many I teach at my church, how
Mhm.
many of them rock all of their MAGA gear and how excited
yeah, they
they
don't
get
care.
every
It's
time I
great.
went to a Trump event. They're like, "Yeah, let's go shoot some guns." These
I
kids are
did a I
hilarious.
did a what do you call it? One of my first videos, Frankie, like early last year, because I started last year. Um, tell the
Yeah, thank you,
story. Quick
Nina.
story. Yeah, quick story. Thanks, Nina, for giving. See, Nina just if you read the chat, she
Nina
said
just spilt the whole
1973.
tea.
Both
Dang, you
both
didn't have to
Rick and
give the
Scott.
year, Nina.
Yeah,
That
she
they
threw
could have figured it
yo
out.
she fucking put TNT in that bomb and was like, ba boom. Rogue Nina was not fucking around with that. But like I started doing videos last year. I just felt like, part of the big thing with me was honestly everything that was going on with the Biden administration, the shit that we were watching that was happening to the J6ers. We've had a few of them on the show tell their stories of how they were being persecuted and whatnot. And then like the beginning of last year, I just decided, I felt like God was telling me that I have to
Mhm.
open my mouth and start using it. Yeah, Nina nuked the shit out of us from orbit. She hit us with a satellite bomb. She hit us with a. She definitely had one of them golden eye fucking beams and shit from James Bond. She hit us with it. Uh, and you know and again, then Scott and I, like I said, I was doing regular videos, and believe it or not, my moderator Jonathan Stevie, um he was he we met in a Discord from a gamer that we both follow, and he just would come over to watch my videos. I did like the first couple of lives I did, it was just him and I, that's it. And he would help me with my audio and stuff like that. And then finally I just like, hey man, do you want to come and just mod for me? He's like, sure. And he mods for like 7 8 other freaking YouTube creators. It's
Oh,
insane.
that's
But
amazing.
he just likes doing it.
Yeah.
And he's a wealth of knowledge.
Shout out to
He always
Jonathan.
he always comes with freaking, when we ask him for something, like if we're talking about something and like we get lost, like, hey, can you find this? He finds it. But we got a very educated, as you can see, a very educated chat. They're all true tellers and true seekers in their own right. And now we got a few people, few new ones that came in. So I'm feeling that. So, and if you're just joining us, Frankie Rodriguez, the real Frankie Rodriguez,
Yes,
is
yes.
hanging with us.
Real Frankie.
We're talking about being freaking Gen X and millennials right now. We talked about tariffs. We got into a little bit of Vegas. So if you missed it, you can always go back and rewatch what we talked about. It's been a great conversation. We're gonna keep going until Frankie says she can't go no more, that she's done with us.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately, I'm looking at the time and I don't want to get off, but I have an event that I need to
oh,
head to.
Of course.
And I'm like,
oh, of
"Oh
course.
man, like, can I push it?" I'm like, "Can I push 5 more minutes?"
We don't want to
Nah,
get you
don't
in
be late to
trouble.
your don't be we don't want you to be late to your event. Listen, you have an open invitation to come on anytime you want. All you got to do
Yeah,
is hit
I
one of
would love
us
to
up,
come back.
and just and we're both on Monday and Friday together. Wednesday I'm by myself. You can come on anytime you want, Frankie. Seriously, we
Amazing,
just
Uh,
amazing.
genuinely
I'll
appreciate you
I'll
taking the
DM you,
time to be with us.
Frankie. There's an event coming up. We
Slide
might want you to come
slide
back
into the
for.
Yes,
DM, Scott, slide in.
yeah, actually, more like he's gonna stumble in, but
Yeah, stumble. That's about right. When you're 51, you stumble, you don't slide.
I would
It's
trip
true.
into it too, so don't worry about it, Scott. I'd fall
You're
on
like,
my
oh,
fucking
fuck.
face flat, just boom.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd just face plant, just
but
like
you
that
know,
chick on the New York City subway who was chasing that MAGA
Oh,
kid.
no.
Yeah, that's how I would bust my face open, just like that.
Yeah, that's rough. That's
We
rough.
actually have, Frankie, we have an event coming up on the 21st. We're gonna do a 90-day mark of like Trump's presidency. So we're gonna have a bunch of people on. You're more than
Nice.
welcome. That's a Monday to come on with us. And then on the 25th is our Patriot panel. The last Friday of
Ooh,
every month, we do a Patriot panel. So you're more than welcome to come back if you have the time to come hang with us.
I would love to join. Would love to join. Loved
awesome,
everybody in the chat. You guys are fantastic.
Yeah, I
awesome.
told you, we got good people. Our people, they rock.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Well, thank you so much
Well,
for having me. It was a pleasure to join. Fantastic conversation. It's great to speak to brilliant minds. Anytime. Anytime
uh,
you
wait,
want me, I'll be back.
you talking about us? Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I know.
Really.
I know you're
Oh
not
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
talking about
sorry. There
us.
was another window. I'm sorry. He just left. He
Yeah.
just left.
Okay.
Was Charlie Kirk in the chat? I didn't see Charlie Kirk out there,
I know.
or
Was it Charlie Kirk? Was
Dana
it
Brandon.
White was in
Topher?
the
Was
background, and
Dana White?
Joe
I
Rogan
gotcha.
popped in.
Um, you got some people saying it's nice to meet you. Nikki wanted to say nice to meet
Great
you,
to meet
Frankie.
you, Nikki. It was great to meet all of you.
So
You guys are
we
fantastic.
will we
Very
will bring
educated.
Frankie back. We will definitely bring the real
Yeah,
Frankie
definitely.
back. So
You're
again,
officially a
thanks
friend of
again.
the show.
You're definitely a new friend of the show and hopefully a longtime friend.
Yeah. Longtime friends that are going to stay looking 21 forever.
There you go.
I hope so. I got grays in my beard though, so like whatever. I don't
No,
care. I would just
that's salt and pepper showing how intelligent you are. It's personality.
I'm I'm like a
You
baboso. I don't know what
you
you're
know
talking
you know
about.
what's great about salt and pepper? It goes like salt and pepper is so critical to a steak. Like it's critical. It's critical.
Well,
Salt and
as long
pepper.
as you think,
Yes.
as long as
I'll give
Frankie,
you
as long
that.
as you're
You know
telling
what?
me, as long as you're telling me I'm good flavoring, I'm okay with that, hon.
In Puerto
The,
Rico,
the
come on,
flavoring of
come
steak
on
is
now.
absolutely,
Salt and pepper
absolutely
steak in Puerto
boricuas.
Rico. You can't go
You
wrong.
can't,
Can't go wrong.
Yep,
Can't
yeah,
go
you
yep,
wrong.
can't go wrong
yep.
with boricua.
With the you got some a fried bistec with some cebolla on it and everything. We're good.
Empanadas. Oh yeah, no,
Yep.
we're
Oh, I
solid. We're
make
solid.
those. I haven't actually made those in a while because like I'm dolo now, so like I don't even. I have no one to make them for. So it's like the fuck. I don't want to make them from just for myself.
You know,
Um.
they're a process. They're a
Yeah.
process.
It is. It
There's
is.
got to be a
Yep.
reason because
But
you
you know
got to
what?
make
I
sure it's
just
worth
got to
it.
the point where I just go and fucking get the Goya brand out from the freezer in the freaking at Walmart or
Oh,
wherever they're selling them, and I just
man.
do them that way. It's just a pain in the ass, and you know I'm by myself, so it's not like I don't want to make like 30 empanadas and
Oh
shit
yeah,
for
no. If
myself.
I'm
That's
gonna
like
make them, I'm
ridiculous.
gonna make 30 of them and make
Yeah,
it worth it.
it's insane. Anyway, I know we got to get you going. We can talk about Puerto Rican food forever. We'll do
Yes,
that on the
yeah, we
next
can.
show. So,
Yeah,
we'll try
I'm
to
sure we
Keep
plan
will.
coming.
another. We'll try to plan another Web Up Friday, and we'll see if we can get the Perez sisters with us too, because they're Boricuas out of New York, and they're fun to have on too.
Yes.
So, anyway, hon, thank
Yep.
you again for coming on. We seriously appreciate you, Frankie.
Thanks so much. Have a great night, guys.
Have a good night. Enjoy your event.
Thank you. Good luck. Have fun.
Yep. Well, America, that was the real Frankie Rodriguez. Fantastic, fantastic dialogue with her. As you see, we just like to have fun on the show always. It's just what we do. Again, she got into, if you're just joining us, you can go back and play it. She just kind of went into the tariffs a little bit. It was really, really good. She actually has a really good
Talked
article on
about
her
everything.
webpage. That was where we were referencing from. We were going from her page. So all her links are in the description. So please go and follow her on all her socials if you're not like banned from X or Facebook. Or actually, I didn't put her Facebook on there because I didn't know her Facebook. But again, all her links are there. So she has some pretty good, interesting stuff that she delves into with her analysis and stuff. So she's been on Fox. She's been on Univision to talk to the Latinos and everything. So, she's got her shit together and she knows what she's talking about. If you're just joining us, it's myself and Red Day now. We're going to finish the night with you guys and get into a little bit of current events. Um, Again, we appreciate you all. You guys are fantastic in the chat. You guys make it.
Yeah.
You guys make it like so much fun to
And,
just come on here and
and
do these things with you
and
with you all.
and thanks for coming, Nikki. Nikki, like I said, Nikki, I think I've invited her a couple times. She finally made it. Thank you,
Yep,
Nikki.
Nikki, thank you so much for coming to hang with us. Daniel Acosta, thank you for hanging with us. Of course, we got the one and only Blondie. Conserve Reality is with us. Rogue Nina is with us. I saw Rosie Riveter earlier. She dropped
Is
in.
Danny still there, or did Danny tap out?
I think Danny tapped out because he usually, yeah, he hasn't been, what do you call it? He hasn't been dropping any comments. I think he just saw that Frankie was on, so he wanted to come in and say hello to Frankie.
We know
Oh
why he
no.
stopped. We know
Yeah, we know why he
why he
stopped by.
stopped. He wanted to catch a glimpse of Danny of
Yeah,
real Frankie there. You know,
yeah.
yeah.
Rosie's still with us. We love you, Mama. Uh, Rosie's Rosie's like family. Known her for a very long time. You know, and you guys are all family.
Hey,
We're
hey,
building this
actually,
community.
while we get a chance, Rosie, did you get a chance? Rosie, you were wondering about the Trump accomplishments. Did you get a chance to check out any of the lists that I made and I posted on my Rumble?
Yeah. Uh,
It's okay.
yeah.
You can take a
Now
second to
she'll get.
respond.
Yeah, she'll get to you. Um, I have noticed
Because
that
you were
it's
saying you
happened with
didn't
her.
have it. Because you're
Yeah, she
saying,
said
oh, she
yes.
said yes. Okay, good,
She said
good.
yes. Yes. Yeah.
But she said that she didn't have Instagram, and that's fine. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
fault
She's
you
not
for
on.
that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No shit. Don't blame you for not being on fucking Instagram. It's just
Oh, can I tell you about what happened to me on Instagram this week?
what happened to you on Instagram this week?
Okay, so officially, I mean, I've always been on Instagram's naughty list, and they always like, oh, you posted this, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So officially, as of this week, I was waiting for the next. I guess I pissed them off too much this past week, and usually they say like, oh, you can't do this for like 24 hours, you can't do this for 48 hours. They finally told me now my account is on lockdown
Oh
for the
shit.
next 363 days.
Let's say not 365, 363.
Well, by the time I
Oh,
noticed it,
okay.
I think it was on Wednesday when they did it.
So
So
what does that entail on being on lockdown for 360? You're not allowed to. What are you not allowed to do?
Well, I can't go live. That always, for some reason, that is the one thing they've always punished me over. And I rarely go live on Instagram. And for some reason, that's always their punishment to me. Is
I
like,
was about to say
why
you
you
don't
can't
do
go
that very.
live?
You don't do that very
Don't.
often.
No, but I have noticed that one thing that is of as of this week they stopped doing is they definitely stopped pushing any of my content out to just the general, what do you call it, the reels or whatever,
Yeah,
because my I'm still getting pretty good views, but as far as like new followers,
yeah,
that's done. I will
yeah,
be
yeah.
lucky to just hope I'll be lucky to just tread water. I'm thinking for the next
Yeah,
year. You're
they
not going to
shut
see
me,
another like accomplishment of me for the
bro.
next year.
They shut me down.
Done.
Yeah, they shut me down as far as like building followers on Instagram.
Yep.
I don't
I'm
even look
done.
anymore because I'm stuck at the same number, right? Like
Hmm.
I'll gain some and then I'll lose like a whole bunch and then I'll gain just enough to get back to that same number that I saw in the morning. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not even gonna pay attention
Absolutely.
anymore because it's just insane. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's really dumb.
I'll have posts that do really well. Like today I had a post that had like over like 15,000 views
Bro, you throw some
and
fucking
one new
bangers on there, man.
dude and one new follow.
It's like I was saying earlier, right? Like I'll have
It's fucked
something.
up.
It's bullshit, right? It's like I was saying earlier, right? Like, for instance, the other day I posted the Val Kilmer the heat scene on Instagram. I looked at it, bro. I had close to, I don't know, at the time, the last time I looked at it was like 3,000 views, right? But the likes were nothing, but the comments were like 100 and something or almost 200 comments. I had like 20 something
Mhm.
likes or some bullshit like that. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then when I look at the insights, right? It actually it showed me it reached, all these accounts, many of them my
Yeah.
followers, but I'm like, are you telling me that none of them liked it? That's bullshit, right? Like, and
Yeah.
it goes to what Frankie was saying. Like, I know you've experienced this where you go to hit like and it won't like. Like, you go to hit somebody's thing. That's how you know that they're being fucking shadow banned. You
All the
can't even like
time
their
it does
stuff.
that.
Yeah. So I know that's
All
what's
the
happening
time.
to me. Instagram sucks
All the time.
fucking blue whale cock.
So yeah. So I'm on lockdown. You're not going to see another like, oh, he reached this new goal for probably quite some time.
Yeah, bro, they shut me down in like January actually, because
Yeah.
that's when I got over 20
Which,
grand.
you know what though? I will say this. The only reason in a way though, it kind of scares me because in the past, the only time they've ever done that is when some real shit was about to go down.
Right. And then fucking
They did it. They did it to me a week and a half before the 2020 election.
mhm,
I was done for 30 days. Couldn't do shit. So when the whole election happened, done.
couldn't post anything.
Then it happened. I posted, but it was just like nothing. I couldn't get any views.
Yeah, I
Then
got
it
Rosie
happened to
laughing.
me. Yeah. Then it happened to me after January 6th. Probably like about 30 days after January 6th. Boom. It was like 60 days.
They fucking suck.
Couldn't share a
I,
damn thing.
yeah,
It
I
sucks.
hate them, man. They're fucking
I was
they're
like,
the
and
worst.
it was another thing the government was trying to like do. And I was like, yeah, they wanted popular profiles to just be shut the fuck down.
Yeah, that's just what they do, man. They suck.
So now I'm
Um,
wondering what the fuck are they about to do?
like I said, not yeah, Rosie, not orca cock, but blue whale cock. That's what they suck. Um, they just they're the worst, man. Again, and then
Blondie. Well, they hate you, Blondie. They do hate you a lot. I'll say
yes, they do. Blondie,
that.
they really hate you.
Blondie, they hate you a
They
lot.
hate you a lot. Yeah, the Blondie gets fucking zucked all the time, and
All the time.
she doesn't even post like terrible shit like that would
No,
get you
she
blocked.
doesn't.
She doesn't. Like she posts things that like
Not at all.
she might find something that she posts before other people, but like 90% of freaking Instagram after that is posting the same shit and they're not even going through what she goes. Blondie gets freaking zucked
Yeah.
all the time. I feel terrible for her. And then she gets these fucking maniacs that are constantly coming after her and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Uh well fam, let's you know what I want to bring up? This is something I saw. Okay. This is from the Department of Education. From yeah, what'd you say? Rosie said I had a wonderful Instagram, but that shadow banning was absurd. I know. You did have a fantastic Instagram. You remember my IG, Rosie? I had the when I had all that stuff from the Band of Brothers. What do you call it? Uh trip I went on. I lost all of that information. It freaking sucks. I lost all of that freak. I lost that account too. I got zucked on that one. I never even posted anything negative on that. It just sucked. Um, yeah, I posted like my whole vacation on a Band of Brothers tour on my first IG account, and it freaking got I lost all of that. I still got all the pictures, obviously, Rosie, in my cloud and all that other stuff. But all that history that I posted, I lost all of that. I know. If you remember, I was posting every day from Europe on the trip. I would post like new shit and everything. Yeah, they are. They're freaking commies and whatnot. Yeah, that's how we met, Rosie. Absolutely. That was back in 2018. We met in 2008. We met in 2017, actually. And then, but it was like May, was it June? June, July? Did I went on that trip? I don't remember when I went. It was after D-Day I went. That was just like, I love that account and I lost it all. Again, like I said, I have all those pictures, but from our Department of Education secretary, and I hope this is true because I want to see places just get I want to see these freaking school districts get absolutely fucking wrecked with this. So, uh, Linda McMahon says from day one, the Trump administration has prioritized enforcing Title IX to protect female students and athletes. Today, the U.S. EdGov and the Justice Department announcing the Title IX Special Investigations Team to ensure rapid and consistent investigations. So we'll listen to her really quick.
Today, the Department of Education, alongside the Department of Justice, is proud to announce the creation of the Title IX Special Investigations Team, consisting of attorneys and investigators from both of our agencies to adjudicate our ever-increasing volume of Title IX investigations. We have received a staggering number of complaints about men competing in women's sports and invading women-only intimate spaces. That's why we're partnering with Attorney General Bondi's team to move even faster in order to protect women and girls. The establishment of this team will benefit women and girls across this nation who have been subjected to discrimination and indignity in their educational activities. To all entities receiving federal funding who continue to allow these illegal practices, we will not permit you to trample on women's rights any longer.
Well, that's good. You know, we need to see stuff like that. We need to see more of that. You
Can you
know?
read Rosie's comment?
Which one? I have the most recent one. Which one back?
I think so. I think it's
Oh,
the
she
most.
says,
I have a question.
okay, here we go. Rosie says, I have a question in regards to NCAA fencing female that took a knee because she refused to fight a trans male or a trans female, excuse me. What's going to happen in regards to that? So, my understanding, the only thing I understand that I got from that, from what I learned, and that was, I think, yesterday, that was all over social media. I think it happened a couple of days ago. But the only thing I gathered from that is that she was only disqualified from that.
Yeah, she
What do
wasn't
you call it?
punished.
Yeah, she wasn't punished. She was just disqualified from the competition. But with that said, we hope that these investigations start taking place and we got to protect women's. But listen, my thoughts have kind of evolved on this, right? Like I did a video and in my video I was fucking getting on what's that dude's name? Peter Thomas, aka Leah Thomas, whatever his fucking name is.
Peter
Um
Dinklage.
yeah, Peter Dinklage, whatever that twink's name is. Anyway, I did a video on him. It was like the second video I had to talk about that douchebag. It was in regards to right before the Olympics, essentially the World Organization told him that you're not going to be swimming with women. Fuck you. You can't compete against the women anymore. That's basically what they told him. So I was like happy about that, right? Um, so it just sucks that this is still happening, and we need this shit to freaking stop. But at that time, my position was simply this: until women stop competing, okay, None of this shit is ever gonna stop. I've kind of
You know
evolved a
what?
little bit on that. I understand, like on the high school level, really, like they're trying to get to college, they're trying to do things, but I was like, so I get it. I get these girls, they're still competing. There was just another boy in Oregon again this week who beat up on freaking girls on the track and stuff like that, right? So again, like
There
I said, I
two.
evolved. So I was like, I understand on the high school level why they're still competing, but my big thing was this, and I'll fucking turn it over to you in a minute, Scott. Was this: if the high caliber athletes, the big names in the sport, just stopped going to these fucking events, or did like what this fencer did, showed up to the event and say we're not competing, money talks, right? Because on
Mm-hmm.
the college level, people are paying to come see these athletes, right? Like you have to
Right.
pay for the venue, right? And they're getting sponsored by Nike from all these fucking companies and stuff like that. So there's sponsorships that are going to these events. It's not just the NCAA or the schools just paying it, right? And money talks. And when they start losing money and people's like, well, wait a minute, so and so is dropping out of this. I'm going to see her, or I'm going to see this woman in swimming or on the track or whatever the fuck the sport is, women's sport, and she's not going to be there. Why the fuck am I going to spend my $200 to sit up in the nosebleeds, okay, to watch them? So as soon as they start losing, because they not only lose ticket money, they lose concession fucking money and all that other stuff, all the food that's bought there and everything. So they lose money across the board. But go ahead, bro.
They won't. They won't. That's the money's not the thing. It's the effort. It's the effort that they don't want to put into it. That's the thing. When have you ever seen any school, any governing body talk about adding any sort of additional events for people of a different gender?
Well, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. You're absolutely correct. They don't really do that. But going back
They
to that
haven't.
video I
That's the
did,
problem.
no, but wait a minute. But this is what I'm going to say, right? Because you're correct. But the World Organization said to these weak men, okay, because they're like 1,000, they run against men and they're like 1,000th in the field, okay, but since they can't beat any men, they decide they want to freaking go up against women and be number
Right.
one, right? So I forgot what World Organization was like, and I think it was going back to the swimming, was like, listen, we'll even create a new, what do you call it, section for you guys to swim in, and anybody who's a
Mm-hmm.
freaking trans man or trans identifies as a man or woman, you guys could all compete against each other. Okay,
What happened?
that didn't happen. They were like, no,
Well,
we
see,
ain't gonna
that's the
do that.
problem. Well,
Right.
that's the problem. See, they want to see the problem is with these people. They want to like categorize everybody into like a box, right? What are the words they have for us? They want to call people cis men, cis women.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? Let's just honestly, I'm not even being sarcastic. Use exactly what they want to call us. This is for cis women only. This is for cis men only. If you are a trans man, if you are a trans woman, or you are, because they can't even come down to how many genders are there, right? How many are there? Who knows, right? Who knows? Is it
Yeah, it's like
90 something? Is it
a
100
hundred.
something?
I think they're up to 183 now, whatever the fuck it is.
Who knows how many there are? I honestly, I could give a fuck if a high school, if a college, if the NCAA wants to institute, we have to have a race for every gender. I don't give a fuck if some Z-Zer wants to go out there and run the 400 meters by themselves because they're the only Z-Zer from the fucking 5
Oh,
schools
I
competing
no,
at this
I
event.
understand that.
I could give a fuck. So when people say, "Oh, you're not letting us exist," no, 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 no. Go complete. Have a different race. Have
Yeah,
a completely different race.
yeah. No,
Go
I'm
for
with
it.
you on that.
Do it. I am not. I am not
Uh,
censoring you. I am not holding. I am not trying to like stifle your existence. Do it. But you
but
just. It's not the same because you already said you're not the same,
right.
right? You call people cis men and cis women. Are you? Because the biggest argument I have with people is this: Are you a woman? Or are you a trans? Are you transsexual? Because you can't be both. I'm
Yeah,
really a woman. Okay, well then, if you're really a woman, then you're not trans.
yeah.
Oh, well, you're
No,
trans. Well, then if you're trans, then you're not a woman. Boom. You
yeah.
can't be both.
Yeah, no. I listen. I 100% agree with that. But this is what I'm trying to say is that it was
I hear
presented
what you're
to
trying to
it.
say.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing
it
with
was
you.
there it was presented to these fuckers, these fucking nuts, okay, and these whack jobs that we will make a special fucking division just for you guys, okay, so you guys can all compete against
Thank
one
you, Nikki.
another, all right? And they fucking said no because again, because they're weak men that legitimately
Right.
want to compete against fucking
Exactly.
women. All right, it's basically that's what it comes down to, right? Because if they do it
There are no
right, because
trans. Yeah, there's no trans men trying to uh, uh, bogart into the men's shot put competition.
no, no, not
Sorry,
at
it's
all.
not
But
happening.
I did see one. I did see one get their ass kicked on a fucking show that was fucking awesome. Got absolutely obliterated. They pushed that shit. Of course, it was on a show on NBC. Something of the Titans. It was a show that The Rock was doing fucking years ago,
God.
and it literally in the first round there was a trans man against a real dude. Okay, and
His
got
ass kicked.
absolutely obliterated. And
Mhm.
it was magnificent to watch. But like you just said, it's not really them doing it. They're not trying to compete against men because they know they're still going to lose. You
I
know.
don't care if the NCAA or if the whoever, if they say that, well, that would just cost too much money. Well, then fucking I don't give a fuck. Then just don't do it. Okay, just don't do it. But you can't just combine all this bullshit
No.
just because you're trying to like save feelings. That's
Yeah, no,
nonsense.
they don't belong there at all. But again, going back to what I was saying, a lot of this stuff is fucking is money based, and the minute they start losing money on these fucking organizations and everything like that, because people aren't
They
competing
should.
against, like you said, against the Zers and the they thems, all right, like that, money fucking talks, man. On the high school level,
Dude,
that's completely different. The states and the counties are taking care of that. That's like different, you know. But
I want to see. You know what? I'm sorry. I want to see a fucking. I want to fucking see a 4x1 relay of they thems, and I want to see like three people running at the same time. Like we're the same unit, and like three people hand off to three people, hand off to three people. That would be that. I honestly, I would get some popcorn and I would watch that shit because that would just be
yeah.
a fucking mess. That would be awesome.
Dude, it's just ridiculous. I would believe it or not, as fucking sick and crazy as it is, as
Yeah.
because they're all demented and delusional. I would have more respect for one of them who's running around, like the twink that they are with a fucking wig and fake breasts and all that other shit. If they still competed against other dudes, but they won't do that because the only thing they want to do, okay, is to destroy women's sports, invade their spaces, okay, and that's really what it comes down to: weak men invading fucking women's spaces and stuff like that, and we have to protect them at all costs. um I understand the whole title. So I hope, going back to the investigations that are supposed to start happening, just start finding, just that's it. The executive order said this can't be done. Start pulling money. Just start pulling money. Yeah. Oh, what? Wait. Okay, your school's being funded, but nope, you're not getting this. Oh, you're doing this in this state? Nope. Because, for instance, like I don't know if you saw the what happened in Maine, right? Like the whole state of Maine essentially was like the University of Maine, which is the state. Okay, so it's the University of Maine, fucking Portland, or University of Maine, whatever. All right. They all were like, yeah, because they were getting hammered. They were like, well, the money's gonna get pulled from your state because you guys keep fucking letting men compete against women, not only in college but on the high school level. So you're not gonna get any money whatsoever for schools. And they just were like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, and
And
they
I think
stopped it.
today they finally got it yanked, right? Was it yet today or yesterday?
It was either today. I think it was yesterday. They might have finally got it yanked. Yeah.
Yep,
Um,
done.
and it
I
was
don't
like,
understand why these. I don't understand why these fucking states even get billions. Has anyone just get up and just like fucking talk about that?
I don't, with the Department of Education getting ready to go, bye bye. Okay.
Like,
Look,
but I don't understand. Like when they talk about like, oh well, what was the latest one? I think, well, not Harvard. What was the latest one? I can't remember the latest school. I don't know if it was Princeton, maybe.
Princeton, I
Was going to
think.
get
I think it was
hundreds of
Prince
millions of
Princeton.
dollars that was going to
Yeah, I
get
think it was
yanked
Princeton.
from funding. I'm just thinking to myself, you know what? If you rely on the federal government to provide you with hundreds of millions to $1 billion a year in order to make your budget, you have the wrong business model. And sorry, You should be allowed to die. I'm sorry. I don't care what industry it is. If you can't make your business work without the federal government giving you hundreds of millions or billions, you have
Yeah.
something wrong. Something wrong. Die and let's start over. Because obviously something somewhere along the way went completely awry. And you're obviously spending money on something completely wrong.
Yeah.
If that's we can't rely on we can't have the government propping these individual businesses. That's what they are. They're individual businesses up
Yes.
for
That's a good
hundreds
way to
of
put it.
millions.
That's a good way to put
Stop
it.
it. You know, if it's a steel industry, if you can't turn a profit, then fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what capitalism is. If you can't make it work, then don't fucking do it. Find something else to do.
it's just it's mind-boggling to see how much money is actually the federal government is fucking giving to this to these state
Shame.
universities and whatnot.
I'm
It's bad.
disgusted. I'm
Yeah.
disgusted every single time I hear them say, "Oh," and that's the same thing when they're sitting there like they want to get sympathy from the public, and you go on these like leftist news networks,
Yeah, I
and they're
know.
saying, "Oh, they're gonna lose their $100 million endowment because of
I know.
Trump and this secretary." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? They needed that,
Yeah.
dude. How much did they charge these poor kids?" And when I went to
Well,
school in the
that's a
'90s,
whole
my
that's
I
a
went to
whole other thing
college.
too.
Yeah, I went to college. What was my college fucking tuition? I think my total bill for each year was between 10 and 15,000. That's
Yeah.
including tuition, room and board, everything.
Yeah.
10 to
Well,
15,000. What do these poor kids have to pay today? You can't
yeah.
fucking turn a profit on
And
gouging 50,000 out of these kids or more.
and a lot of that
Stop
is
it.
fucking and a lot of that is mainly because the fucking federal loans through FAFSA, okay, are subsidized by the government, right? And because they know that they're gonna get their money from the government, okay, no matter what, because it's protected. These loans, they keep fucking raising and jacking up the prices and stuff like that, and they're just absolutely milking these poor kids with degrees that don't even help them when they get out, right? So they got a freaking degree in gender studies or basket weaving 101,
Frustrating.
whatever the fuck it is, okay, and they can't even get jobs when they're coming out because they're not applicable. You can't apply it to
No.
anything, right? So to me, unless you're going to be some sort of professional, like a doctor, nurse, lawyer, engineer, something in STEM or something like that, some sort of scientist, whatever, it makes no sense to go to fucking college. Okay, you can learn so much without going to college. College is a major ripoff if you're not trying to be a professional.
Huge.
Now, within the colleges, they have programs like, obviously like adult learning and for people to help them fucking get through their GED and get to the next level. I get all of that, right? I'm not saying that shit like that isn't good, but some of the degrees that they come up with is just insane. It's just the degrees that they come up with new fucking a bunch of new degrees like every year that aren't worth fuck.
It's just sickening.
Yeah,
It's sickening.
very,
You know, when they
very.
talk about make America, when they talk about like, well, when was America ever great? You know what? That's one of the things. You know what? When fucking college didn't cost like 50 to 100,000 fucking dollars a
How
year.
about this, bro? State college. Not even just because the private college you're paying hundred thousand
Yes.
dollars a fucking year. State college you're paying 50. Half of that. That's insane. That's just it's
And
and
then they
you
wonder why these poor kids can't afford a home is because they're fucking. Dude, I didn't even fucking pay. And I just told you what I had to charge. I actually went through some really bad. I went through some very bad decisions in my life where I was paying
bro, who
tuition. I
hasn't?
was paying my loans back for decades. I didn't fucking pay them. I didn't fucking pay off my student loans until the fucking like 2010s
Right.
because I just didn't give a fuck, you know? And I finally did, but it's just like shit, dude. These and I was the one that I blew it up into a bigger problem than it really was.
Yeah.
You know, these poor kids that went into debt 50,000 plus a year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have known what to do with that. I would be living under a bridge right now because I wouldn't want to fucking pay it off. I'd be like, fuck it, I'll just eat spam and I'll steal from the local 7-Eleven
Hey man,
every day.
Spam was the shit with some fucking fried eggs, bro. They love that shit in Hawaii
I
too.
learned about spam. You know where I learned about spam? In
Where
college.
nah, I learned about spam growing up in the hood, man. That was one of the
Jesus.
and the spam we got was the one without the label on it, and we got that shit from the government.
Oh Jesus.
Uh, they love it in Hawaii, man. They make all kinds of shit in Hawaii with spam.
You can. There's whole
It,
recipes for it.
there's like a million one recipes for spam. Uh, you know, well, Nikki, I've seen some of your comments, and you said your family gets sick of listening to you talk politics and religion. You could come and hang with us anytime you want, Nikki. Um, well, we're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, um, at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're here on the show. Myself and Scott are with each other on Fridays, and I'm by myself on Wednesdays. Um, for the most part, occasionally I might have somebody with me. But you can come hang anytime with us. We're trying to build a community here. And speaking of community, fam, we really want to get a movie night going on the Discord, but we got to get some more members. It's free. The Discord, I don't charge anybody to be a member on my Discord. Myself and Jonathan are trying to set up a movie night. We're trying to start with Heat, which is going to be the first thing we're going to watch.
You know
What's
what?
up?
We
What's
should.
up?
I had an idea.
What's up?
We, as far as movie nights are concerned,
Hmm.
it, it, if you and I are picking the movie, it should be free. But if someone wants to pick the movie for us,
uh, nah, we can't do that, man.
we could.
It's a
I
good
think we
idea,
could.
but
I
no,
think
no.
we could.
The whole idea is that if we're watching we're gonna watch the movie, and if it sucks, we're just gonna roast the shit out of you. And
Um,
if we pick a movie that sucks, we expect you to roast the shit out of us too. um, but Nikki,
Thanks,
seriously,
Nikki. Yes,
Nikki,
definitely.
you come and hang with us, all right? You can come.
I know who Nikki is.
Um, you know, come and hang with us. You can DM myself or Red Day on I'm just the Big Red One guy on Instagram. Obviously we stream on both YouTube and Rumble. So if you don't feel like watching on YouTube, you can watch on Rumble. But the Discord is just for us to continue to build this community so that we can continue to talk to one another outside of our live streams and whatnot. And like I said, we're trying to get a movie night together on the Discord, and we talked about it on Wednesday. Was that Jonathan? Was that when we talked about it? I think it was a Wednesday. Yeah. We're
Might
gonna
as well
start
be
with
Wednesdays.
yeah, we're gonna start doing that, and the first one we're gonna do is the movie Heat. And giving Val Kilmer a shout out. Then we were gonna do, I think, what's the second one, man? Was it Tombstone? I think the second one was Tombstone. And then the third one was going to be The Saint. And then after that, those were the first three movies we had locked. We agreed on. Um,
Why those three?
because it
I
was
don't think I didn't agree to those.
we were talking on Wednesday.
Who agreed to those?
The chat agreed to that, man, on Wednesday, bro.
I didn't
I
agree
got
to
it.
nothing.
I got to go with the chat.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like we either
What the?
agree or they agree.
Who is biggest tickest one? Oh, we got a new person. I don't know who this is. It says, what's the
Um,
difference between a hormone and an enzyme? You can't hear an enzyme, but you can hear a hormone. Okay. Um, Yeah, like
okay.
Conserve said, it was just we were honoring Val Kilmer. So we had picked the three
It's like
movies that we were
Heat.
gonna watch.
What was
Us.
the second one? Heat was the first one. And what was the
Heat
second
was gonna
one?
be the first one. Was gonna be Tombstone.
Those are like two movies I've seen like literally like once in my life. I've
Yeah,
never seen them since I first saw them.
yeah. We were going over the scene from Heat,
I don't
the
think I ever
heist.
saw the third one.
What's that?
The
The Saint.
Saint. I don't even know
Y-
what that movie is.
Well, the Saint is an old character from like I want to say from the 50s or 60s. Um, yeah, it was like the 50s. Anyway, Simon Templar. But I think it was originally books, and they turned it into a TV series.
Mhm.
Jonathan, was Simon Templar from books or comics, man? I can't. My memory is terrible with
I've
this
never
shit,
even
bro.
heard of it. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, Simon
Movie just
Templar
The
used to.
Saint?
Yeah,
No,
the
The
Saint.
Saint.
Yeah, he used to do all kinds of stuff to help people, and he what do you call it? Yeah, he made himself into
I
Simon
know the
Vegas.
Boondock Saints. I
No,
remember
it's
that
not the
movie.
Boondock Saints.
I'm
That
trying
movie
to
was
think. I
actually
don't
pretty
call.
good, man. That
No,
movie,
that
that's
was
a
a good
movie we could
movie.
throw in.
Yeah, yeah. The Boondock Saints was a decent,
Yeah,
but I don't even know. I've never even heard of the Saint. That's why it's weird to me. Like I'm usually pretty
yeah,
good with movies.
yeah. Top Secret was funny too. That was actually like his first movie, Top Secret. That was a Mel Brooks movie, and then Real Genius was pretty good too. Has some good music in that movie as well.
I
Real
love Real
Genius was a
Genius.
fantastic movie.
I
Yeah,
love that. You can add that to the list anytime you want.
yeah. All right, so here, just to
Would you
because
qualify that as a would you classify that as a design flaw or a launch?
that was such a great movie, man.
It's
So
awesome.
Jonathan says the Saint is the nickname of the fictional character Simon Templar, featured in a series of novels. That's what I thought, and short stories by Leslie Charteris, published between 1928 and 1963. Then they made a show. That thing was Roger Moore the Saint back in like the 60s. Jonathan,
Roger
they could have
Moore.
they could have sworn it was Roger Moore who played the
Roger
Saint.
Moore was if that was that, it was definitely not the '60s. Roger Moore was big in the '70s, '80s.
Yeah, but
Can't
but
imagine
he
him
had been
back in the
around for a while.
'60s.
I think it was
In the
like the late
'60s?
60s. I think
Oh damn!
I feel like the Saint was from the late 60s, um, early 70s.
Wow.
But yeah, anyway, he played a good Simon Templar. It was a pretty good movie. But bro, we can throw in Real Genius in there too, right afterwards.
Anytime you want, I'm always down for Real Genius.
Yeah, we could do because Rogue Nina wants to watch Top
Anytime.
Secret. Yeah,
Wait, the movie Top Secret?
yeah, the movie Top Secret.
Ah, no, fuck that shit.
You never
I'm not watching.
have you ever seen it?
Yes, I've seen it. Not watching.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I won't be there for that. You can ask Kristen to join you for that one.
And then Jonathan says, "Yeah, I thought I was right. It was the '60s. The Saint is a British crime television series that aired in the United Kingdom on
Oh,
ITV
TV
between the
series.
'62,
Okay.
yeah, and '69. Yes, Roger Moore. I was correct. Okay, I thought it was Roger Moore. I had seen some of those old episodes when I was young. You know how they have reruns in the fucking late '70s, early
Yeah.
'80s. At that time, they were rerunning a lot of those shows and whatnot. So yeah. Anyway, we're trying to set that up, fam. Join the Discord. We'll let you guys know when we're gonna do that. Um, Probably won't be next Saturday, because I got family coming into town. It'll be after that. So not next Sat Jonathan, we'll see if we can set it up for not next Saturday, the Saturday after that on Discord. And whoever's in the Discord uh members already, that's who we'll end up watching the movie with. So the Heat will be the first one. Anyway, I will work that out. I will work that out. Whose biggest dick is this one? That's fucking great. That is a great handle. I love it. This is just a great handle. Oh man, can't make this shit up. I love it, man. It's fucking
No,
awesome.
definitely can't. You'd be trying.
Uh, okay, so Jonathan broke it down. He said, Simon was portrayed by several actors over the years: Lewis Hayward, George Sanders, Vincent Price. Really, Vincent Price? I didn't realize that. Roger Moore,
Vincent
Ian
Price.
Ogilvy,
There's a
Simon
throwback.
Dutton, Val Kilmer, obviously in the movie, and Tom Conway, Edgar Barrier, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Vincent Price played the
I mean,
Saint for a
I
little
couldn't
bit.
tell you what the one thing Vincent Price did before the Thriller album. I don't know anything he did.
Oh man, he was big for horror flicks and stuff like that. That's why they got him for
Yeah,
Thriller.
I mean, I know that, but I couldn't
His
tell you what
voice.
movie he was in.
Oh
I
man,
just
we'll
knew
have
his
to.
voice from the '80s.
Are you into older movies like that? Black and whites?
Not really. I mean, I've
Yeah,
seen them. There's some things I watch. I don't know why. There's some things from before I was born that for some reason I just sit down and I throw on and I don't even know why. They're
yeah.
not even that like funny or entertaining. I don't know why. I just fucking just watch them.
It's a different era, man. A different type of acting and whatnot.
It is. Like
Um,
I will sit. I was born in '73. For some reason, I will sit down and just like watch like episodes of like the Joey Bishop show. I have
right.
absolutely no idea. It's not even that funny. It's just like it's dumb and corny. It's
bro.
literally like my dad's humor. Like maybe that's why I think it's funny.
Man,
It's just
I'll
like it
tell you what
literally
I
is my dad humor.
yeah, I'll tell you what I could fucking marathon is Benny Hill, man. I used to love watching Benny Hill because
I
Benny
mean
Hill
that's
would
fun.
come on.
It has its moments, but I've never sat down
Benny
and
Hill,
watched a marathon of that stuff though.
because Benny Hill would come on fucking late, right? When you had to be asleep as a kid, and
Yeah.
you like your parents would be watching it, you'd be trying to watch it from the back and stuff like that. Benny Hill was pretty funny. Um,
Like, and half of that shit you can't even laugh at anymore.
no, it's not. It's
That's
illegal,
what I remember of
especially
Benny
in
Hill is
England,
like the things. Yeah, like you've tried to laugh at like oh it's sexist or oh it's racist or it's like
bro.
they made fun of literally like fucking everybody.
Yeah.
They
Now
they went
speaking of,
hard on they went
I
hard
know.
on like race both worse than like they did in the U.S.
Yeah, it's true. They're terrible. Speaking of England, myself and Red Day will be on the Wednesday chin wag with the Real Tomly Booze next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We will
Oh
be on that
yeah,
show with him.
absolutely.
I'm glad that we brought up England and we were talking about English actors and whatnot because I have to actually I got to send them. I forgot to send them. I sent them my stuff, and I got to send them your stuff as well, like your email, along with your logo and whatnot, so they could set it up.
Hmm.
Uh, Abbott and Costello was pretty funny back in the day too. The Three Stooges were hilarious.
I
I
love me
got my
some Three
kid,
Stooges.
my son loved Abbott and Costello, man. He used to laugh his
Hmm.
ass off as a kid with that stuff. Abbott and Costello was really good. The Three Stooges were funny. The Little Rascals were hilarious to me. Um,
If you had to think of a TV show like from your youth that made
mhm.
you just like die laughing, what would it be?
uh, Again, the Little Rascals used to make me laugh a lot, even though
No,
that
no,
was
no, no. I'm
before
saying
me.
I'm saying from our youth.
Oh, from
So
our youth.
we're thinking like from either 70s or 80s.
I want to say What's Happening was pretty funny.
Yeah.
What's Happening?
For me,
Sanford and
it
Son.
for me it would either be Married with Children
Oh, the 90s? Oh,
or
80s. Okay, wait a minute. I'm thinking like from our
I'm talking
kids.
80s.
Oh, 80s
Well,
Married with
maybe
Children,
like from
hands down.
our like yeah, I said
Okay.
80s.
From
So
like high
married
school?
to me it would
Yeah,
be like Married with Children or
hands
Night
down.
Court.
Night Court was
I
pretty
would
funny.
just like
What was the other?
die. I would
There was another
die
show.
laughing.
There was another show that was like Married with Children that came on in the late 90s.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually too. I can't.
Separated was it Separated something?
Oh man, I can't for the life of me remember that show
It
because
was
I
it the
didn't watch
theme
too many.
song was it the theme song Hit the Road Jack?
Was it that one? Might have been.
Because
Married with
it felt
Children was
like it was
absolutely
trying to
hysterical.
it felt like it was trying to be a Married with Children ripoff.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of funny actually, but I didn't get into it like
It was all right.
I didn't get into it like I did with Married with Children. So like I just kind of drifted away from it.
Like, Married with Children would have me just like dying. Like I still want to go back and watch episodes, and I'm just like, oh my
Man,
god, I can't believe we got away with that.
bro, bro, I forgot this on Instagram. I followed Al Bundy clips or some shit like that, and I
Yep,
just sit there and watch Al Bundy clips in fucking hysterics, man. In
funny.
hysterics, bro. It's just absolutely hysterical. Married Children, we would never get away with that shit today.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, absolutely. It's by the way, it's why I enjoyed like the Family Guy and South Park. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah.
and everything. They're talking about Rosie and Nikki. Are talking about other shows too from that era, from like before us and everything that we used to watch in the 70s and 80s.
See, like the
Um,
Brady Bunch, I remember that when I was a kid. That was
yeah,
cute, but it wasn't like on my like holding my sides, like
that was
laughing
life
so hard.
because it was life
You know,
lesson stuff on the Brady Bunch is what it
yeah,
was.
like
It
the
was
Brady
life
Bunch
lesson
was
stuff.
cute. The
Yeah,
Waltons were cute, but
yeah.
it wasn't just like if you're talking about just stuff that like made me like my mom would be like, "What are you laughing at?"
And now Married with Children, bro. I used to love watching Married with
Just
Children, man.
dying.
Yeah. Oh, and the Wonder Years. I used to laugh my ass off with the Wonder Years. It was fucking
See,
with
never.
Kevin
I
Hart was
tried to get into that, and I just couldn't
man,
get
the
into
Wonder
that.
Years was so funny to me, man. Because the Wonder Years reminded me of my little brother. That's why. So like I used to just because he's just
Oh,
my
okay.
little brother's just very intelligent, and used to have some of the
Mhm.
funniest shit happen to him. So like it would just crack me the fuck up, you know.
Yep.
And the dynamics, the family dynamics was great too because the father was like a veteran. I think he was a Korea vet, and then their daughter was a
See,
Dana. What's her name? God, she was so hot. She was in she was
oh,
in Conan. She was in the
Winnie.
Conan the second Conan movie. She played the princess Dana, not Delaney. Oh God, I can't remember her name. She was so hot. Uh, anyway, the dynamics of that family was absolutely hysterical. It was just great. Silver Spoons was
Yeah.
pretty good. That was a good one.
See
Aaron Gray.
that would be
E-
that would
Aaron
be
Gray
some good
from Buck
watching on.
Rogers. Yeah, Aaron Gray
Yeah.
from Buck Rogers was in Silver Spoons.
See, that would be good. Some good watching on Discord. Is watch some old episodes of Children.
Oh, you want to do Married with Children? All right, all right, chat.
That would be fun.
We need some voting.
That would be
We're gonna
fun.
do some. We're gonna do the movies like we said we're gonna do again. We're gonna do Heat, Tombstone. We're gonna do The Saint, and we're gonna do Real Genius for because Scott really wants to see that with us. So we're gonna make
Oh,
sure we
Real
get that. We
Genius would be
throw that in there,
classic.
okay? But what we would like to know is if you guys want to watch Married with Children. We will watch episodes of Married with Children. That would be
Oh
hilarious.
my god.
Yeah, I do know,
I'm
Rosie.
I'm
They
thinking of
made the
episodes now and just laughing.
Yeah, yeah. Rosie says, "Do you guys know that they remade the Wonder Years?" Yeah, it didn't. It didn't pan out like they think it was, and it's through the black kids' perspective, and it's on Disney Channel. Yeah, it was. They. Yeah,
Oh
they just. It
god.
was terrible. It's terrible. Like I
Ruined
couldn't
it.
even. I just like I can't ever even get into that. Happily Ever After.
That was
That
it.
was it.
Happily ever after.
Thanks, Rogue
The
Nina.
dog.
Rogue Nina. She brought it to us. Happily Ever After. There you go.
Yes. It
Um.
was, and it was a total ripoff of Married with Children,
Yes.
except it was completely reversed. The daughter was hot and smart, and the kid
Yeah.
was like dumb. The
The
boy
son
was
was a
dumb.
dumbass. Yeah, the son was a
Yeah,
dumbass.
that's how they made
The
it different.
Greatest American Hero. Oh my God, that was a pretty funny show.
It was
Facts
good.
of Life was connected with Different Strokes, if you guys remember.
Mhm.
It actually was it ended up being a spin-off of Different Strokes,
Yeah.
and it went on to do great things and stuff like that. Shit, what else? Man, I remember Silver Spoons because Erin Gray was on there, and I had a thing for her back in the day when she was on Buck Rogers and whatnot. 25th Century.
Yeah. But see, some of those. I mean, I enjoyed those shows. Like I watched Silver Spoons when I was a kid,
Yeah, yeah.
and I watched like the A Team, and I watched like a lot
Oh,
of
the
those.
A
But it was
Team, bro.
oh man, that was my
B.A.
jam, man. I
Baracus.
love I love that show.
Man, A Team
Like
was
I
awesome,
watched
man.
Knight Rider. You know, I watched. They had so many cool shows for young
Yeah, there
boys in the
was a lot of great.
'80s. But like,
What
say
was
it was
that?
just like. But even Silver Spoons didn't like make me like laugh
No,
out
again,
loud,
but
like
those
ha
were
ha
shows.
ha 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 ha.
There
It
were
was cute. It was
those were
fun.
shows. Yeah, those were shows that they had some humor in it, but it was more life lesson stuff, right? It was still
Mhm.
it was a sitcom, but it was more there was more
Yeah,
life lessons in it
like
and stuff like that.
I watched All in the Family. My parents would put All in the Family on. I thought Archie Bunker was a piss when
Oh
I was a kid,
yeah, Archie Bunker was
but
fucking awesome.
that
It was
made me laugh.
hilarious.
That made me
Yeah,
laugh, but it was like very rare that like even like a comedy on TV would just like make me just like
yeah.
cry from laughing so hard.
The Dukes of Hazard. Rosie Riveter said the Dukes of Hazard was that was a great. That was a great.
I was the Dukes of Hazzard.
The Fall Guy. Fall Guy was good. Uh,
I watched all of those like Airwolf.
yes, I
If
was
there
gonna
was
say
like a
that
cool
Airwolf. Airwolf was awesome,
Airwolf,
man. Yeah,
because they have the best themes too. The
yeah,
intro would
yeah,
come on
yeah.
and be like,
Yes, Nikki, What's Happening was one of my favorite. Quantum Leap was actually a pretty good show too, Jonathan. I enjoyed Quantum Leap. Family Ties. Holy shit, that's right.
see,
Family
and that
Ties.
was fun.
Yeah,
That was fun, but that did make me cry laughing
yeah. No, no.
because it
They
was like
again. They
it was wholesome.
Yeah, it was what do you call it? It was again a lot was life lesson stuff. There was humor in it,
Mhm.
but most of those shows were what do you call it? Life lesson stuff. Family Ties. What was the other one? Uh Who's the Boss?
One day at a
Uh
time.
One Day at a Time. Yeah. uh it didn't get funny again until like with life lessons was the Fresh Prince of Bel Air was absolutely hysterical. That was
Now
a
that one made me
incredible.
laugh. And that was
That
more
was
like the '90s. It seemed like.
yes,
Was that
that
the
was an
'90s or '80s?
incredibly funny show. That was like the
That made
80s
me
into the
laugh.
90s. Yeah, that was an incredibly funny show.
Oh, dude. Oh, you know what? High school. Okay. Be with me right now. Okay.
Okay.
It's it's 1989, maybe 1990 in high school,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
It's it's Monday morning. You're talking about In Living Color.
Oh, In Living Color on Monday mornings. Yes. We would watch on Friday because In Living Color was either Friday or Saturday, and then Monday morning
Yes,
you would be talking about In Living Color. Yeah, in high school. Yeah.
In Living Color
Man,
made me piss my pants. It was so
yo, In Living
funny.
Color was such a funny show, bro. The skits that they used to do.
Everything
Um,
they did was fucking hilarious.
yeah, but man,
Jim Carrey came from there. The
Jim
Wayans
Carrey.
brothers. Oh my god, it was
Yeah,
so
Jim
fucking
Carrey was
funny.
absolutely. Remember him as Fire Marshal Bill? I can't. His teeth were like back there. He's like, you can't do that because that's dangerous.
Everybody. They fucking roasted all the politicians. They roasted
Everybody got it.
everybody. It was
They
so
roasted.
cool.
Remember? He did the. What was it? Was it the instead of Ice Baby? Was it Rice Baby? What the fuck was it?
Rice Baby.
Rice Baby.
Yeah.
They used to make
Oh
fun
my
of
god.
man.
In Living Color was awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. To think that that's where we got J Lo from is like crazy.
yeah, I know because she was a dancer on there. She was one of the dancers on freaking on In Living Color. Man, In Living Color, like you said, Monday morning we were talking about In Living Color and just
Yeah, we'd
laughing
be
our
getting to
asses
school.
off of it.
Did you see? Do you remember this? Did you see this? Did
Yeah.
you see this? Oh my god, it was so fucking funny.
Yeah, but then we also
There's just a
saw
bunch of white
again,
kids in the suburbs laughing at that shit.
bro, but we also talked about like if we got to
Oh,
see on cable, right? Because it was like the beginning of cable around that time. If we got to see like a comedian like Andrew Dice Clay, right? At that time in
oh
high school
yeah.
it was Eddie Murphy Raw was in high school, but like you had to have seen Delirious first in middle school. You know what I'm saying? If you snuck it
Richard
on and
Pryor.
Richard Pryor, holy shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Richard Pryor was absolutely hysterical. Live on Sunset Strip was one
Very
of his
fine.
funniest ones, man.
Yeah.
But Eddie Murphy Delirious and Eddie Murphy
Oh yeah.
Raw was absolutely hysterical. Oh,
Yep.
okay. Comedy movies from back then too. Remember fucking Trading Places, man? Yo, Trading Places
Oh yeah.
was absolutely hysterical, man.
Classic.
Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy together
Classic.
was just you can't
I
make
could
those
watch that
movies
all
anymore,
the
man.
time.
Bro,
All the
absolutely.
time.
Them two together were absolutely hysterical.
You know what? It's kind of funny because they went a long time when they didn't make funny movies.
Yeah.
Like for me, like a lot of that stuff in the late '70s, early '80s, like would make me piss my pants because it was so
I know.
funny.
Yeah.
And then it didn't happen again for some reason until like the late '90s, early like 2000s,
Yeah. There was
when you
like a
started
little
getting like There's Something About Mary, and then there was like
yeah.
Old School and like
American Pies
Dodge,
movies.
yeah, American Pie, Dodgeball. It's like
Yeah.
all these like fucking hilarious comedies. Like there was a stretch there where it wasn't super funny.
Yeah. No, no, there was. They just like they lost the there was like that was like where
And
the
even
change in
now,
comedy was coming and then the last ditch effort, like you said, of like doing real funny shit that was just like, um
mhm,
wasn't just like regular slapstick. It was like vulgar and stuff like that, where the American Pies, something about
mhm.
Mary and everything like that. There was like that last ditch
has
effort to get it in there, and then that's when shit changed after that.
has there been? Let me ask you this: has there been a really funny movie since the Hangover movies?
I haven't seen anything funny since the Hangover movies, man. Hangover
Like
movies
that
had
was
me
the
in
last
stitches.
ones that just made me like the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it's like I laughed fucking hysterically through the Hangover movies, man. That shit is funny to me anyway, man.
But
Um,
like since then, what
no,
was that? Late 2000s, early 2010s?
that had to be right. I was around that time. I don't really remember what. Jonathan, when were the Hangover movies, man? When was the
I think the
first one and when
first
was the
one,
last one?
the first one was around 20. I think 2009, maybe 2010. So yeah, maybe like all of them were early 2010s. But like now you never have like a funny movie coming out. Have you noticed that?
Bro, you can't be. You're
Nobody
not
makes
allowed to be
com.
funny anymore, man.
You can't fucking do comedies anymore.
Yeah, you're not allowed to be funny anymore. I will say this: the good thing is that stand-up comedy has come back. Right, that went away almost altogether. But that was because you had people like Dave Chappelle and whatnot
Yeah.
just saying "fuck it" and we're just gonna go, and other people following suit, saying no, it's time to bring comedy back and stuff like that, and just they didn't give a shit anymore, which you shouldn't, right? Because like comedians are like the ultimate free speech, right? They say whatever they want, they joke about whatever the fuck they want. Everybody gets it like equally. A good comedian gives it to everybody equally. Um, but
Who's your
yeah,
favorite
it just
comedian? Do you have one?
oh man. Okay, Jonathan says the
Like
first one was
now.
2009, second one was 2011. I don't even have one round now, man. I haven't watched
Can I point?
anything. I
Can
haven't
I
what
give you
really watched.
somebody?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
And this is for the chat too. If you haven't seen this guy, this guy's actually he's funny. He's actually Canadian, but he does
Hmm.
most of his touring in the U.S. Phil Hanley.
Name sounds familiar. Like I've probably seen clips of him.
He's fucking funny as shit.
You know who's funny? Okay, wait a minute. I do have somebody, bro. That Italian dude, Steven
Dave Chappelle
Sebastian.
is funny, but Dave Chappelle doesn't. He doesn't tour as much anymore.
He was doing that for a little bit, like a couple of years ago. He was doing.
Yeah.
Netflix was giving him. I was very surprised, by the way. Netflix gave him like one show after the other, and they didn't
Yeah.
censor him at all. Like they were the uh the weirdo community was trying to fucking cancel him, and they Netflix stood by him, and Netflix does all kinds of creepy shit. So I was really surprised that they stood by him. This man, what is that? There's this Italian fucking comedian that makes me laugh. He's so funny. I don't know why I want to say Steven Sebastian, man. Uh, his shit is just absolute. Hang on, I gotta find him.
I'll
Oh
send you some. I'll send you some clips.
yeah, man. It's definitely.
Most of the make what makes him funny is his crowd work. When he's just like talking to the crowd and people are just like he just like roasts everybody.
Hang on. Not it's. I'm sorry. Fucking
Yes,
Steven Sebastian. I
Rosie, I
had his
agree
name.
with you. I'm not a big fan of Fluffy.
I had
I
his
think
name.
his comedy is corny.
Yeah, I had Steven Sebastian. I was way off. Fucking way off. Sebastian is in there, but that's not his Steven. Steven, he's not even close. Fucking
Is it
Sebastian.
Sebastian
S-
Bach?
No, Sebastian Maniscalco. He's fucking
Oh
hilarious,
God.
bro. He's this Italian dude is absolutely hysterical. Yo, Jonathan said no shit, he worked back behind stage for Chappelle a few times. Yeah,
Oh really?
yeah, Fluffy's not funny to me. I will say this, the early Fluffy stuff,
I mean,
like when he
he's
first
just.
started, he had some funny shit. He's not funny anymore.
I just think he's corny. That's all.
Yeah, he is corny, but
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I just meh.
like I said, his early stuff when he first started, like when he first got a little bit big, but he wasn't like super big, he was kind of funny. But like again,
Yeah.
um, yeah, bro, if you get a chance, man, look up Sebastian Maniscalco. He is fucking hilarious. And I'll send the clip to you. You send me clips of the dude you want me to laugh to,
I will.
and I'll fucking send you Sebastian shit he's funny, man. He's always talking about shit with his wife. He has this one skit about going to the airport and them making him, fucking
You know what? Hold on.
take shit out of his bag and everything like that because it was like he's like, oh, your bag's like 75 pounds, and he's like sitting there taking shit out of his bag and putting it's a very funny fucking skit, man. But again, you're right though, man. There aren't too many guys that are funny now.
No, there's not. It's it's just different, and even the guys like when they do it's just not as I don't know what it is. It's just not you have to because you have to be so fucking politically correct.
Yeah.
Here I'm gonna share something with you. Uh, if you're
In the
able to,
private chat?
yeah, I'm gonna send you a link.
Okay.
If you can, it's only like 4 or 5 minutes if you
Yeah,
want to
sure.
try it.
Yeah, no, I'll bring it up. I'll bring up
Just give you a taste.
uh is this YouTube?
It's a YouTube link.
Okay. Hang on.
Let me see.
Let me bring that up. Yeah. All right. I got it. Is it breaking up over the phone? That's it? That sounds like it's going to be funny, actually.
He brings an audience member up and he does a skit where he's breaking up with somebody over the phone.
All right, fam. We're going to watch Phil Hanley uh, right now.
We broke up over the telephone. And to end the show, I would love to read a transcript of that final conversation. Would you mind coming up and reading the part of my ex-girlfriend? Is that okay? Do you mind? Thank you very much. Do you mind standing over here? What was your name again? I know I learned it and I have trouble with it because it's such a unique name. Eloise. Okay, cool. And that is your husband, David, right? Still? Thank you, Eloise. Do you mind just coming over a little bit? What's your occupation? You seem quite confident.
I'm an operations manager.
Operation manager? Are you serious? That's always been a passion of mine. This is why. Can I tell you why I'm so taken back? I love operational managing so much. It's dawning on me here. I'm like, I always just thought it was a hobby because it's such I love it. You don't like it? Oh, really? Well, you're about to try stand-up for the first time, so. Okay, so Eloisa, right? Is that close? What is it? No, what is it? Eloise. In the transcript, Eloise is playing Sarah, and guys, I call her Sarah out of respect because that's what her parents called her, all right? So just... Eloise, you have the first line. Are you ready? Okay, here we go.
I think we should break up.
That was great. I forgot one thing. When you break up with someone, people are always like, who broke up with who? Grow up. It doesn't matter who broke up with who. Do you mind doing the first line again? Oh, here we go.
I think we should break up.
That was amazing. This is me. Sorry, I didn't hear that last thing. The phone cut out. But I think we should break up.
That shit too.
Eloisa, this is your whole monologue. Are you ready? Here we go.
This is so hard. You're such a great guy, and I love that you still live with your parents. I can't believe I'm not going to get the chance to make love to you tonight.
I can't believe he's making a read
That is something that I highly recommend to any single woman. Or even to someone who's in a relationship.
Thank you for improvising that thing at the end. So, okay, this is me. Sorry, the phone cut out again. What was that last part?
I was just saying that in a perfect world, every woman on the planet would get a chance to experience the forbidden pleasure that only you can provide.
True dat.
True that.
All right, babe, I wish you the best.
I've already had the best.
Good shit. Good shit.
You ready? Yeah. Okay.
I'll always love you, Donkey Hammer.
Eloisa, everybody, please a round of applause.
Donkey Hammer. Holy shit.
It's awesome.
Donkey Hammer.
Awesome.
Holy shit. Oh, I gotta find something from Sebastian. It's a Donkey Hammer. Donkey Hammer.
That is my favorite comedian right now.
He's funny. I gotta find his shit. I definitely gotta find his stuff.
He is all over YouTube and TikTok. He's got tons of clips out there.
Oh
But
wow.
look for his clips that he's actually doing stand up, not when he's on like the Tonight Show or something like
Right,
that. Like
right, right.
those
No,
are
no,
like
I
just
gotta find
tame,
his. Yeah.
like crowd work. Look at Phil Handley crowd work. You'll find some fucking gems. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I definitely gotta fucking. I
It's
gotta
like
find
fucking
some shit.
oof.
Oh yeah, here we go, man. This is the. Hang on. This is.
Yeah, show me your guy if you, because
Yeah, this
I'm
is.
not familiar with yours.
Yeah, this shit is so true at the airport.
Now, the check-in process at the airport, they don't want to look at you. Head down, right? No smile, nothing. I feel like I'm working, right? I feel like I work at United. Hi, how you doing? Right? The only time they get happy is when the bag goes over the weight allowance. They love telling you you're gonna owe extra on this bag.
So true.
And you know it's heavy. When you're packing it at home, you tell your wife, we're never gonna make it with the, just okay, okay, I'll pack it, right? It's so heavy, right? You put it up there, and you know it's heavy, so you kind of try and release it. You do that like kind of soft release, like that's gonna take weight off the bag. And her mood changes. She's like, ooh, I'm sorry. Your bag is 2 pounds over. You're gonna have to take 2 pounds out of your bag. Now, like an idiot, I gotta open up my bag in front of 187 people. I don't know what 2 pounds is. I'm taking out a boot, a sock, toothpaste. Is this 2 pounds?
So true.
Does anybody know what 2 pounds is? They're gonna charge me an extra $8,000. You think the boot's a half a pound? I go, where do you want me to put this? She's like, put that in your carry-on. I said, it's still going on the plane.
It's so fucking true, man. They mess with you.
What does it matter if it's on top or underneath? The guy behind me's 500 pounds. That doesn't matter? My sock is gonna take the plane into the Pacific, but you prepared for this type of weight? It's a scam. Every part of that airport bothers me. The TSA, the security checkpoint. This is what's guarding our country. Have you seen what's in the blue shirts at O'Hare?
Oh God.
Do you feel safe with this type of security? I've been all over the world, Egypt, Lebanon, Beirut. I've been all over. The security in their airports, unbelievable. All military, neat, hats, machine guns. Have you seen our first line of defense? You see the first guy they send out? Take out your laptop! Your liquids, your creams, your gel.
Such assholes, the TSA.
And can we leave the shoes on? Have you seen people's feet? Guy took his shoe off, looked like he had a machete hanging off his toe. I swear to God, like he could cut provolone. just a thin slice of provolone. How does your toenail get to this point? Don't you glance down and go, shit, I gotta cut this before it starts coming through my shoes. These are basic skill sets.
Who's it? Nina said somebody. Ian Bag. Nina wants us to check somebody out. Nina, anything in particular from Ian Bag?
I never heard of Ian Bag.
Yeah, neither have I. I've never heard of Ian Bag either. I'm definitely gonna look at some more Phil Hanley. It's a compilation. Just want to skit. That's 22 minutes. Okay, here we go.
Actually, you know what?
What's that?
That's a 1-minute clip.
Where you found one?
It's a classic clip.
He's got one called Church Girl Conversations. Oh God.
What's that?
Oh God. It says, oh shit. Hang on. This is gonna be great.
Oh, I think
Church
I
Girl.
heard. I think I've seen this guy before.
Do you have a job?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I work at a church.
You work at a church? Wow. Pretty sure that's called a nun.
It's gonna
Her distance between her boyfriend is, he is Jesus. We have some distance between us. He's been gone for many years. But he's close to my heart. I love him. Jesus. He's my boyfriend. Anything like that? Are you a nun? No. What other jobs at the church are there? Janitor? Clean the pews?
I work with high school.
You work with high schoolers at the church?
Yep.
Oh shit. She's
High
walked
school
into that.
ministries?
They want to reach out to you.
You want to
walked
reach
into
out to me? Is that what you just said? No, this is a good church. Go to comedy clubs, sit in the front, change those people. We're gonna have a lot of ideas, but we can change them. Bring Jesus to him if he won't come to Jesus. How do you get high schoolers to work with Jesus? You're like, do they have to wear those rings? Like, what's that? Your period ring? Oh, purity. Period ring's a completely different thing.
Oh shit.
I got my period. Jesus gave me this ring because I got my period. Purity ring, that's what it is, right? Purity means no touching, no touching, no touching. There's a lot of... is that why you have the distance between you? Jesus doesn't mind FaceTiming. Diddle, diddle, diddle. The show's taking a turn. I don't know where it is. But everybody's seen it. The Christians did it. The Christians did it, right? But do you work at the church as well?
Yeah.
You do? Where's this church? I remember the nuns when I grew up. They looked nothing like this. They didn't bring their boobs out for Saturday night. We're going to the show. Get your titties out, girls. We're gonna get some free drinks for Jesus. Good for you. Rock them if you can, right? Are you wearing a purity ring? You are? She's a virgin. You are a virgin? You are? One person clapped. One person was like... You save it as long as you can. It's weird that you all four sat together, because
We're with our parents.
you're with your parents. This is awkward as hell. Shouldn't we start the conversation like that, you sons of bitches? You don't say that. I don't say that your boyfriend's on vacation at a glory hole with somebody and your parents are sitting beside you. You start with, we're with our parents, we're having a great time. We're from the church of, my parents think I've never had sex.
All right. I actually looked at the time here. Scott, where you at, brother? Lost Scott there for a minute. Wow, what
I'm
a night,
back.
guys. You here, bro?
I'm having a sneezing fit over here. I don't know
Oh
why.
God. Yeah, right, man.
Yep,
All right, so
I am now.
we are going to set up a movie night. Like I said, we're gonna do that not next weekend. Jonathan, the weekend after that, we'll start with Heat. Uh, Hopefully we'll get a few other people to sign up on the Discord. Whoever we got in the Discord, that's who we're rolling with. We'll make sure that we announce it. Let me see, what week is that? Uh, so let me look at this calendar. So the 19th, fam. That's the Easter weekend. Well, what do you call it? We'll have a movie night on that Saturday. The night before Easter, Sunday.
Easter weekend?
Yeah. Are you going away somewhere?
Yep, I will not be available that weekend.
All right. Well, but you wanted to see Real Genius anyway, so um,
Yeah.
we'll throw Real Genius in there. We're gonna have Tombstone after that, and then we'll throw Real Genius in there before you after Tombstone. So Easter weekend, Jonathan. Are you doing anything that Saturday night? If we have to push it, we'll push it. You guys, chat. You guys okay with Easter weekend Saturday? We could do it fairly early so that we don't, what do you call it, interrupt anybody's Sundays. Till 6. You think 7 o'clock's a good time, Jonathan?
Not too early.
Or do you need more time, brother? Then I got to talk to you about how we set that all up anyway. So we will post it, and we'll talk about it here. Rogue Nina's good. We'll talk about it leading up to it, guys. So Easter weekend on that Saturday, we are going to watch Heat. So it will probably be. It's really on. Jonathan works till 6, so we got to make sure that we have enough time for him to make it home and not be stressed out. So we'll let you know the time as we go. So it needs about 40 minutes. So 7:30 or 8. We'll talk about it, Jonathan. Anyway, that's where we're headed. So coming up next week, I don't think we have anybody next week, right? No, it's just
I don't
us
know.
next week.
We'll see.
If somebody
We'll see.
we might drop somebody in, even if it's at the last minute, we'll get somebody in. Monday it's probably just you and I though, right?
Maybe.
All right. Hey man, if you got somebody who wants to pop in on Monday, by all means, I'll post it anyway, regardless. Wednesday is just me. Next Friday, we'll see. You never know who we're gonna have. Anyway, tonight we had Frankie Rodriguez with us, which was really, really great conversation with her. New friend of the show. Let's give some shout outs to some people, man, who just hung with us tonight. And we had some new people. We had Nikki, I can't pronounce your last name, Nikki, so I'm not gonna pronounce it. So I don't botch it. Rosie River was with us tonight. One and only Blondie was with us tonight. Scoob Livestream. Scoob checked in with us. Conserve Reality was with us. Rogue Nina. Daniel Acosta, Daniel Cruz. What was that dude's name? Big Dick Suckers or some shit like that.
I can't remember his name. It was our crazy name.
Yeah, it was Biggest Dickus one who was with us tonight. Oh man, that's fucking great. So anyway, we will announce. I'll work it out with Jonathan to see what time's good for him, and then we'll have that movie night on the Discord, fam. And how many members we have, that's who we roll with. But you know, we'll definitely could use we use just don't forget the Discord, fam. That's where we can continue to talk and have conversations. We post stuff in there daily. Jonathan's been dropping articles and whatnot in there. There's different chats, including if you want to drop pictures of your furries in there, your animals. Furries meaning animals, not people.
Be careful.
Yeah, not people. We don't want pictures of furry people, furry animals. It's called pets. Um, you can drop. Jonathan's got a couple of pictures of his huskies in there. You good, Blondie?
I don't even want to know.
They're regular huskies, bro.
Okay. Well, gotta be
Rosie's
careful.
laughing. Rosie's laughing.
Gotta be careful.
Uh,
Rosie knows.
yeah,
You gotta be careful, man.
yeah. You
Don't
never know.
assume.
But
Someone
we
says they
will
want to
let you
show me a
guys.
picture of their husky. I would say probably turn them down on the internet.
Rogue Nina says we don't have those furries. Jonathan says he'd delete that shit immediately if he saw it. Somebody put some furry shit in there. Remember, he's modding over there too.
Exactly.
But anyway, Easter weekend, Red Day won't be able to be with us because he's gonna be traveling. But we will have him back for hopefully for the Tombstone, and then we're gonna do Real Genius after Tombstone because he wants to see Real Genius. And then just there is a chat in there. Just start dropping suggestions, fam. So we can go start planning afterwards. And we'll pick dates and whatnot as we continue to go. But anyway, you got anything, Red Day?
No, I gotta get going in a minute.
All right, man.
No, it's a good chat tonight.
Yeah, it was really good.
Thanks everyone for hanging out with us.
Yeah, it was a good night tonight, fam. Thanks for laughing with us and everything. It was a good night. Good night to hang. So I will take us out, homie. I'll see you on Monday,
right.
brother.
Yep.
Well, America, another episode of Break the Machine podcast. Tonight was a fantastic night. We had Frankie Rodriguez hanging with me and Reddaywalker. Real great conversation. New friend of the show. We're definitely going to try to have her back on. We want to bring her back for sure. And we will get these movie night things going. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link at the top of each chats. Don't forget to sign up for the Discords. It's completely free, no membership fees or anything like that. And Rogue Nina, I will definitely check that out. I'll check that out tonight before I go to bed, um, so we can laugh. But thank you all for hanging with us tonight. It was really fun night tonight, and you guys as always show up and you guys always represent, and truly appreciate it. So with that said, I am the Big Red One Guy signing out, and remember that together and only together can we break this machine, and we need to break it. God bless you all. God bless America, and I will see you all on Monday night, fam. Have a good night and have a great weekend.